All right. You ready? We don't have time? You sure can do it in one take?
The promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday, 14th day of April, Tax Day Eve, Jackie Robinson Day Eve. We'll talk about the life and times of Jack Roosevelt Robinson coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. I will not be here tomorrow. Kathy Abernathy will be sitting in for me as I once again, courtesy of my dear friend Mike Big Dog Parent, attend Jackie Robinson Day at Dodger Stadium. Shohei Ohtani takes the bump, although we'll see. Did you see last night's ball game? He got plugged in the upper left shoulder, or upper right shoulder. So he was fine. He played the rest of the game, but a bruise like that, you know how that happens. How you feel fine Monday night, you wake up Tuesday and you got a strawberry big as a damn cantaloupe on your shoulder, and it's sore, and so we'll see. I'm guessing he's going to pitch, but we will talk about the life of Jackie Robinson, and obviously we'll get into further details of the Eric Swalwell situation, because the thesis of the day from Ralph Bailey: Eric Swalwell going to jail. Forget about being removed from Congress or resigning or possibly being the president of the United States. Like, literally, he had a shot of being president of the United States. And you're saying, wait, Ralph, how did you make that today? Because had he stayed in this election, let's be blunt, he was probably going to win. Let's be honest about it. Unless Chad Bianca gets in with Steve Hilton, the Democrat is most likely going to win. Maybe Hilton can pull this off. I don't know. But the likelihood is that the Democrat's going to win. And it would have likely been Swalwell. And as you've heard me say many times, when you're the governor of a state with 50-something electoral votes, even an idiot like Gavin Newsom is considered a presidential candidate. And had Swalwell won in 32, maybe 36, he's a young man, and he's blown that all away. And it's all about sex, which, by the way, is one of the themes of today's show. So this is an adult program. I would probably rate it a PG-13. So if you got kids in your car, I'm sorry, but we're going to talk about sex because it's like the theme of just about every story I've got. Sharon Moore pleaded out today, the Michigan coach, who was found embracing his wife in court. Why can't I find a woman like that? You know what I'm saying? Who will allow me to have an affair with a 20-something-year-old woman for months and months and months, let me kick in her door and threaten her, and then I plead out and get away with it, and my wife accepts me back? I got to move to Michigan. But everything we talk about today has to do with sex and how men are so incredibly willing to roll the dice with their lives. With their lives. Tony Gonzalez, both the resignations were read officially today in the House. Tony Gonzalez, the Uvalde, Texas congressman who had an affair with one of his staffers, who inevitably, and what brought attention to it was that she engulfed herself in flames, literally taking her own life. But it's just amazing to me, and it's all throughout history. You'd be hard pressed to find a leader in the 20th century that didn't have a mistress. We'll get into that in just a second. But he's going to jail. You will hear from his fifth, and I think most lethal witness, this Beverly Hills model, Lona Drews, who insists that she was raped. And this guy's got a little Bill Cosby in him. I'll explain in just a second. Clayton Campbell, local defense attorney, filling in for Teresa Golden, who texted me this morning from the Orient. She is, I think she told me this morning they're in Hong Kong, and they'll be in Japan, and they'll be in Beijing, going to China. So Clayton will fill in for him, and we'll talk about the Hooker situation. Brian Hooker, by the way, was released. If you haven't been with me for a while, he is the yachtsman out of, God, where are they from? Where's the Hooker family from, Chris? I think they're from Michigan.
I believe it said Michigan, yeah.
I think they're from Michigan. But nevertheless, they have a yacht down in the Bahamas. And one night, about a week ago, they were on their way to their yacht, allegedly. And the wife, who was driving, which everyone involved says was never happened. She never drove the boat, the dinghy, the yacht. But she was driving that night. She had the keys to the dinghy, and she allegedly fell off the dinghy and was lost at sea. And the husband really made no attempts to save her. We played the audio for you yesterday where he said he threw her a flotation device. He threw her a flotation device. That just doesn't sound like a man in love with the woman who's floating in the Atlantic Ocean. Because if it's my mother, if it's my girlfriend, if it's my dear friend, and they fall in the ocean, I may be stupid and we both might die, but I'm going to dive in after you. Pretty damn good swimmer, even if I wasn't. Isn't that just your human instinct? But this guy, as I've talked about all week, was like, "Hang on, honey, I'm gonna paddle back to shore and call the Coast Guard. I'll be right with you. Hang on 1 second. We'll be back." And then we played the audio for you where he called the stepdaughter and was like, "Well, you know, your mom's been missing." And it took him a day. It took him an entire day to call the stepdaughter. The whole thing stinks of high heaven. But as I've said, I think this guy is going to break the Bailey thesis. The Bailey thesis being, you can't get away with murder in the 21st century. You can't. You can't get away with murder in the 21st century. You can't. And having said that, Brian Hooker may get away with murder in the 21st century. We'll talk about that with noted defense attorney Clayton Campbell. And the Pakistanis are calling for a second round of talks with the United States. We'll unpack that as Israel and Lebanon are even talking. Meantime, the International Atomic Energy Agency says the Iranians, who have been insisting all through these peace talks that they just want the uranium for their citizens, the International Atomic Energy Agency declared, no, that's not true. They have been trying to enrich that uranium for a while. They're at 60%. Most pundits and experts insist they need to get to 90 to make a weapon. And let us not forget, for those that are dissing the effort that we're making to try to change the Middle East, that they said in talks they had enough uranium to create 11 bombs. So that absolutely poo-poos the whole total argument that we should not have torn up Barack Obama's peace agreement where he sent, 7-8 figures to Iran in a plane. And that's what Democrats are screaming now. Oh, well, we shouldn't have torn up the Barack peace plan. Well, how did that work out? If they have 11, they're close to 11 nuclear weapons. How'd that plan work out for you? We'll delve into that. And a jury has the Vincent De Leon case. I haven't really talked a lot about this. It's a local case where I'm sure most of you are aware of this, where this man kidnapped and robbed and raped, allegedly, a woman coming out of a local gym. Cynthia Zimmer, our district attorney, in fact, is prosecuting the case, and it is going to a jury. The defense is not, as it can't, they're not denying the robbery and the kidnapping, because Phi Beta Kappa, Genius Boy, is on video going on a shopping spree after the alleged raping. Because again, they're conceding the robbery and the kidnapping, but they're just saying he didn't rape her. Now, it seems to me, physiologically, that's pretty damn easy to prove. I'm not going to get into it. It's not that. I said it's PG-13, ain't much more than that, so I'm not going to get into it. But I would think that's the easiest thing to prove, just physically speaking. But we'll talk about that. And then in the 5, thanks to Jennifer Pitcher Van Alstyne, we're going to talk with Steve Henson. He is a classmate of hers from Centennial High School who happens to work for NASA and was part of the Artemis II project. So we get to talk to him live from Florida coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And we'll end the program at 5:30 talking about the life and times of Jack Roosevelt Robinson. Tomorrow is Jackie Robinson Day. As I mentioned, all players in the Major League Baseball will be wearing number 42. Meantime, the Dodgers got a great performance out of Justin Roblisky last night. Can you imagine if this kid emerges as a factor in our starting rotation? Because Sheehan pitched fairly well the other night. The only real question mark right now, as I mentioned yesterday, is Roki. But Roblisky went 8 innings on like 82 pitches. I'm like, really? You couldn't give him like one batter in the 9th? You know, and if the guy hits a rocket, okay, bang. The good news is, and everybody write this down because you don't hear this very often, Tanner Scott looks like 23 Tanner Scott, 24 Tanner Scott. Not 25 Tanner Scott. He looks like 24 Tanner Scott. He came in and he's found his role with the Dodgers. He's the setup guy. But he came in last night, as he has in the 3 other performances. And maybe it's just me because I've lost my bias for the guy, but he even looks like he's throwing harder. But we'll get into that a little bit. And Miggy Rowe had a night last night. Good googling, boogling. He's hitting like 285. I think he had 2 or 3 hits last night. He made an incredible defensive play because Mookie is down. Mookie's not playing. So Miggy was playing shortstop. And Mr. Burdick, who is the single hottest player in Major League Baseball?
Shohei? It's got to be somebody on the Dodgers.
It is clearly somebody on the Dodgers, but it is not Shohei Ohtani.
Will Smith.
I'll give you one more because people are screaming at the radio. Dodger fans, I know Big Dog is screaming at his radio right now.
I'll go for broke here and go Freddie Freeman.
Oh, my God. No. Who is the hottest player in baseball? I'll tell you right after this break. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk.
All right, let's put this out real quick.
Oh, I think I left my glasses. I did leave my glasses. God dang it. I had them on top of my head and I left them in the kitchen. I know exactly where I left them. I was getting ready. I just got out to shower. I went to read something because I was going to, God dang it. Let's see if I can do this in one. It'll be hard without my glasses to do this in one. I'm not going to lie.
Whenever you're ready.
3, 2, attention. Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens, someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? It may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. You know, for years I've been 12. One more shot, and then I'm just going to start it back where I end. I'll try to do it in one. If I can't do it in one, I'll just start back where I ended up. 3, 2, attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens, someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options. How much time I got?
You got about a minute and a half.
One more time. Try it one more time. 3, 2. Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens, someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options and make confident decisions about your care. Again, that's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711. Jesus Christ. Do you need this? Do you need this? No? No?
Personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox.
Let's talk about sex. I've told you guys the story. Stephen Mayer, who was on our staff at the Roadrunner in 1994, we won a press club award for writing a column about sex. And my thesis was we should have a more European approach to sex, that we make such a big deal out of it that it tantalizes kids, although that's changed now, because now that young generation aren't having sex, they aren't meeting, they aren't getting married, blah, 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 having babies. But that's what we're talking about all today, in some form or fashion. The Swalwell situation, Gonzalez, Sharon Moore, Hooker allegedly killing his wife, in my opinion. It's just all about relationships and sex and what men will do for women. It's just incredible. Who is the hottest player in Major League Baseball?
That is the question.
Andy Pages. Not only is Andy Pages leading the league in RBIs with 20, he's leading the league in hitting. What is Andy Pages hitting? Take a shot. Take a guess. Throw it out there. Go ahead, tell him. You won't even be close. Won't even be in the neighborhood. Won't be in the zip code. Go ahead, tell him. Throw out a number. Go ahead, tell him.
312.
417.
Ooh.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, nobody expects this to continue. And with Joe Davis, I wish I could call Joe Davis. Get off Andy Pages. He can't start a sentence about how hot Andy Pages is without referencing how cold Andy Pages was during the playoffs. Because I think Pages got like 2 hits. I think he batted like 89 in the playoffs. But he had 27 home runs last year. This isn't a fluke. This kid is a player. He's an outstanding outfielder. He did another Kiki Hernandez. Was it last night or the night before? Where he almost barreled over Teo Hernandez, who, by the way, have you noticed my genius? What did I say about Teo Hernandez about 2 weeks ago, Chris Burdick?
Not a great fielder?
No, he was in the 7 hole. What did I say?
Oh, that he needed to be higher up on the batting average.
Where did he hit last night, Chris Burdick?
I'm assuming the 5?
3. He's in the 3 hole. He's in the 3-hole last night. Well, because Mookie's out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mookie's out. But nevertheless, I told you he's going to be up. What do you think he's hitting? What do you think Teo's hitting? Throw a number out there. Go ahead, tell him. Throw any number out there. Go ahead, tell him. Go ahead, tell him.
265.
320. No, see, you always blow the bit. You could have said 260. Then I'd say 320. And you say, oh, wow. But you always blow the bit. You always
I said 265.
Oh, you said 265? Oh, I thought you said 365. No, he said 320. 320. Just saying. This club is so damn deep. It's not even funny. I mean, Mookie's out. You wouldn't even know it. Freddie's not hitting. You wouldn't even know it. Shohei is just starting to hit. But when you got a guy hitting in the 7-hole that's hitting 420, 417, and has got 20 RBIs, how do you get these guys out? When you got Miggy Rowe, who might not be retiring this year. He said this is his last year, but do you really retire? If he finishes the season where he is right now, hitting like 280, 285, do you really walk away? I'm not sure. The Dodgers throw him another $10 million to hang around one more year. He made a play up the middle last night, diving on his belly, getting up, throwing it out, making it look routine. Hitting 280, 285, had a couple of hits, had a double last night, had a base running error, but other than that. In the meantime, I got to play this for you. We get to the bottom of the hour because Clayton's coming in. But this is Lana Drews. This is why I say Eric Swallow's going to jail.
He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died. I did not consent to any sexual activity.
She is a very, very credible witness. And guess who she hired? Lisa Bloom. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You've never heard of Lisa Bloom. You may have heard of her mother, Gloria Allred. And if you haven't heard of Gloria Allred, you're not engaged, because Gloria Allred is probably the most famous defense attorney for sexual victims in the United States. And she's still going. She's still alive. She's probably in her 70s or 80s. But her daughter, Lisa Bloom, is taking over the family business. Here's one more bite from Lana Drews.
I've never cheated in my life, and I would never have engaged in a consensual sexual encounter with Eric Swallow.
She's putting her name on it. She's coming forward. They're going to the Los Angeles Police Department to fill out, because he's got two separate cases. He's got the case in New York with the staffer. That's being prosecuted as well, or examined for prosecution. And he's got the Los Angeles case with this woman from Beverly Hills who was a model and was trying to make contacts with Swalwell and has stepped up. I'd love to see this, because we were talking about this just the other day. I think we as journalists and as a society have added to the shame that somehow comes with being attacked by a man. And I think that it's time that we end this policy of shielding women's name. I just think that adds to, that's telling them they should be ashamed. You should so be ashamed of what happened to you, we're not going to even publish your name for you. I get it with children, that's a whole different ballgame. But we as a society should be able to stand up and tell women, stop being ashamed that this man attacked you. Be proud that you have the gall, the balls, the tenacity to stand up in a courtroom and point to that animal and tell people what he did to you. We've got to erase the shame that's involved. It's no different than being knocked over the head. Rape is not a sexual crime. It truly isn't. As crazy as that sounds, it is a crime of violence. I've always wondered, and again, we're talking about sex today, but I've always wondered, how does a guy concentrate when the woman that you're trying to make love to, if you can call it that, no, you can't call it that, is fighting you? It doesn't want to have anything to do with you. I thought sex, part of the allure, is that this other human being wants you, desires you. And yet you can be turned on by someone who despises you and doesn't want to have anything to do with you? We'll talk about this later. But first, defense attorney Clayton Campbell is next.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A super typhoon steadily battered a pair of remote U.S. islands in the Pacific Ocean with ferocious winds and relentless rains. The storm shredded tin roofs and forced residents to take cover from flying tree limbs. Super Typhoon Sinlaku pounded the northern Mariana Islands for hours before daybreak Wednesday. Lebanon and Israel have held direct diplomatic talks for the first time in decades. Tuesday's more than 2-hour meeting in Washington came after more than a month of conflict between Israel and the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah. The State Department praised the two sides for what it called productive discussions. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 317 points. The Nasdaq rose 455. The S&P 500 advanced 81. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. The sexual misconduct accusations against Congressman Eric Swalwell will soon leave him a former congressman. He announced an impending resignation Monday, saying he believes that the plans to expel him from Congress are wrong and he is resigning ahead of that. Bakersfield PD is looking for a man believed to have attacked an elderly woman unprovoked February 13th on East 3rd Street. He's described as in his 30s, bald with a full beard. He was last seen wearing all black clothing. A tornado was caught on video this weekend touching down near Vina in the North Valley. No damage or injuries were being reported with that tornado, which was not a large one. It was the same storm system that brought rain to this part of the state. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Step into the spotlight at the all-new and always thrilling Hard Rock Casino Tejon, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield. Play your favorites across over 2,000 slot machines, plus baccarat, blackjack, roulette, and craps.
What the hell's that about?
And with Unity, whatever you do, you get rewarded. Play here and redeem.
Are you taking the full segment, or are we taking a break?
I'm taking like 50.
50, so we are going to take a break then?
Yeah.
Okay.
When life calls for a little extra, a kitchen upgrade, paying off debt, or that dream vacation, Valley Strong Credit Union is here to help. With a Valley Strong home equity loan, you can tap into your home's value with competitive rates, flexible terms, and local guidance you can trust. Get approved in as little as 5 minutes, with funding in as few as 5 days. Your goals are within reach. Visit ValleyStrong.com to get your offer today. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your possibilities.
Yeah, I'm going to Jake Robinson.
NMLS number 456506.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vit Dev. We will chat with local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser. John Cox will be here to administer the news quiz. We have news, we have traffic, we have weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
as they try to fight off. It's Tuesday, and our former Kern County Council and former federal magistrate Judge Teresa Goldner is in Asia. She's in the Orient. I think she texted me this morning and told me that they were in Hong Kong today. Please stand by. Where are you, Teresa? Oh, here you are. She says, hi there, Ralph. On the plane to Hong Kong, this came across my phone. I thought you would enjoy it. It's a UCLA thing about Jackie Robinson. But Clayton Campbell, noted defense attorney and overall good egg, despite being a Cardinal fan, is live in studio with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Wanted to talk about the Bahamian situation with Brian Hooker, who was released last night by the Bahamian Police Department. He had been arrested but not charged in the disappearance of his wife. And again, for those just joining us, they are big yacht people, and they have a boat down in the Bahamas. They went at about 7:30 one night to the yacht in a dinghy. Lynette, the wife, was driving, which the family says never occurred before. She never drove the dinghy. She never drove the yacht, but she had the key. She falls out of the dinghy, as you all know, because I'm not an ocean guy. Apparently, these dinghies or jet skis automatically shut off if you fall off the boat, so it doesn't take off from you. So he could not maneuver the boat. He insisted that he threw a flotation device, but that he paddled back to shore, and that's where the story ends. And we're going to talk to Mr. Campbell about the difficulty of prosecuting somebody without a body and just what he thinks of this case in general. So what do you think of this case, having looked at it?
Well, it is a puzzling case. These are difficult for prosecutors to make a criminal case out of. I mean, first of all, we don't know whether a crime occurred, right? And there's suspicion that maybe the husband did something to her. And of course, whenever there's something like this, people that, like, I think there were disputes in the marriage in the past, and I guess
domestic violence.
Right. And she got arrested for domestic violence, not him. They had, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he killed her or that he would want her dead, right? I mean, obviously that's something that people point to as a potential for a motive, but it takes a lot more than that to prove a murder. You have to, first of all, you have to prove somebody died. And secondly, you have to prove that the death was caused by another person with the appropriate mental state for it to be a murder. So that's a lot.
That's what I've said, because let me first, before we get more specific in this case, let me see what you think about my thesis, which I have overturned for this one case. My thesis is you can't get away with murder in the 21st century. What do you think of that?
Well, I think some people do, but it's not as easy as it used to be.
And the second thing I said is I'm calling an exception for this case because I think unless they find that body, I think he's going to walk.
Well,
I really do.
Even if they do find her, it's been a few days in the ocean. It may be difficult to determine cause of death, but I don't know. Maybe they can, but they'd have to show that it's some kind of foul play. Now it could be, what if he did want her dead and she fell off the boat and it was an accident and then he just didn't rescue her?
But right? Doesn't that seem bizarre to you though? Clayton, if you and I were in a dinghy and you fell off, I would jump in to try to save your ass. I wouldn't throw you a flotation device and then be like, well, I'm going to paddle back to shore, Clayton, but I'm going to call the Coast Guard. Hang on, boy. We'll be back for you. And this is a guy's 25-year wife.
It is a weird story. And I don't know whether maybe he couldn't see her. I don't know. It was dark out. It was at nighttime.
Yeah.
So it could be that if she fell off and, just because the key comes out doesn't mean that the boat immediately stops. So it may have drifted for, what if it drifted for 10 or 20 yards and then it's dark out. Maybe she's splashing around. He throws her the flotation device. He can't find her in the dark. I don't know. I haven't seen the whole interview with him, so I don't know whether his explanation.
Have you heard any of the audio?
I have not.
Chris, call up some of the audio while we talk. Some of the audio got of this guy. We've got like 2 or 3 pieces. And again, I know what you're going to say because you're right. There's no way in the world you can base this on the guy's demeanor. But good googly moogly, for a guy that his wife is floating around the Atlantic, he sounds mighty casual in the discussions. A. B. He didn't call the stepdaughter for a whole day. And it just seems to me that if it's me, I'm calling everyone involved. If my wife fell off a dinghy one night, I'm calling everybody in my family. Oh my God, My wife is missing, y'all. Your mom, your stepmom, your mom is missing, y'all. But listen to this guy. You got something here? Listen to this guy.
I threw her a flotation cushion that we used to sit on the dinghy, right after she went in. But I couldn't tell if she got it or not.
Again, I am willing to concede there's no way in the world you can even get an indictment based on somebody's demeanor. But doesn't he sound so calm for a guy that's lost his wife?
He certainly does. And I wonder why they're not wearing life jackets, by the way, when they're riding this powered dinghy out to it. Was it a jet ski or
no, it was a dinghy? It was an 8-foot dinghy
with a little motor on it. Mm-hmm. It's got a key in it that she's attached to because she's piloting the thing,
which they say she never did. Okay, it's like when back in the day. I don't know. I'm older than you, but back in the day when you go on a road trip, your mother never drove. Dad always drove. Always. Like there was never an exception, and that's what they're saying about them on this boat. That she never drove. Except for this one time. I just think it stinks to high heaven. I realize I don't have enough evidence to prosecute him. That's why I think he's going to walk.
It's very suspicious. Yes, it is. And I think that's one of the reasons you see people go to these foreign countries if they're going to, if this is what he did. You hear these cases of people disappearing in foreign countries where maybe the police aren't as sophisticated as they are here in the United States. You don't have all the forensics available. You don't have all the digital forensics available.
Yeah.
I mean, here, your cell phone is tracked. Your, everything you do, your internet search history is logged. I mean, what was the one where the guy, he did all the internet searches and, how long before a body starts to decompose? And you hear the lady, the Boston prosecutor with that Boston accent, like, how long for a body to decompose? And then you see the guy's face and his just demeanor starts to melt as she reads off his whole search history. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they do now. And it's the tools that are available and the talented detectives that we have now, it's very hard to get away with a crime when it's a murder. I mean, there's so much crime, they can't put that, it's not CSI for every burglary.
Right.
I mean, I wish they had those kind of resources. They just don't. But when it comes to a homicide, they invest everything they have.
Yeah. That's why I say it's virtually impossible. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule for everything, but it's damn near impossible. And they don't have the type of video cameras that we have. We can't even prove that they went out on the boat. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things I suggested. We don't even know. He might have killed her. She might be buried in the Bahamas somewhere. They may have never gotten on that boat.
That's true. Or like what was the scene in The Sopranos where they kill the guy on the boat and then they weight him down in the body bag and throw him overboard? Like, you're never going to find the body.
Big pussy.
Yeah, you never know. There's just, all of that.
That was his name. Stop laughing.
I don't remember that just yell that. I just remember the look of betrayal on his face when they confronted him in the yacht and shot him.
But yeah, he was a rat.
Yeah,
he was a great character too. I was sad to see him go. But
yeah, but that's the kind of thing where they weight down. That's how they used to bury people at sea, right? They'd sew you in your hammock with a cannonball and throw it overboard. And,
is that right?
Yeah, that was the burial at sea of the old British Navy with the cannonballs and the sailing ships. But yeah, that's who knows, that could be what happened. But to prove a case like this, you can prove a murder with circumstantial evidence,
right,
and you can prove a murder without a body. But you still have to convince a jury with proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And the Bahamas, if I understand correctly, this is an English common law jurisdiction. It's still under the authority of the British government.
Okay.
So they would have to prove in a court with a jury. So it'd be similar to our process, but not exactly the same, but similar. And the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that, by the way, comes from the Church of England from the 17th century. That's where that burden of proof comes from. So the proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that's part of the English system as well. They'd have to demonstrate that to a jury, and they'd have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she's dead and that he is responsible for that death. Now, by the way, there is a situation where a crime of omission could be committed, where he could be culpable for not saving her if she fell in by accident. And that comes up in a situation where you have some kind of a responsibility for the person. So in a husband-wife relationship, there is that responsibility traditionally, under the common law at least, or the parent-child. Like, you leave your child out and your child dies in the car, for example, because it's too hot. Like, well, I didn't kill him. But no, you didn't actively kill him, but you allowed it to happen and you were responsible to prevent it.
We just saw that play out right here in Kern County.
Exactly. So the same kind of theory could be pursued here, but it would be a lot easier for prosecutors to figure out what happened if they could find the body. Right now, they just have to go on his statement which is suspicious. But, not everybody reacts the way you expect them to.
Yeah.
Some people are more emotional. Some people are less. Some people process grief differently.
Yeah.
It's a little bit unfair. Here the guy did lose his wife, and maybe he didn't do anything to her intentionally. Maybe he loved her very much, and he is suffering the grief of this loss. And here we're all like, I can't believe he's so calm when he talks about it. Maybe that's really unfair. So I don't know. It's just hard to say.
But isn't that just the nature of jurisprudence or crime, that when a husband or a wife disappears or is murdered, that the husband or the wife is the first suspect? I mean, that's just natural, is it not?
Yeah,
particularly when the husband is the last one to see her alive.
Well, exactly. That is certainly suspicious. And the detectives will tell you if there's not some other obvious motive, like a gang-on-gang crime or somebody's committing a robbery or something like that, if there's not an obvious motive, then you look to the people that were close, that had, stood to gain by an inheritance, or maybe they just had an axe to grind, right? They love can turn into hate at some point for some people.
It's a thin line.
Well,
thin line between love and hate, boy, I'll tell you that. Clayton Campbell, noted defense attorney, is our guest filling in for Teresa Golder. So I know this is a ridiculous question and an impossible question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What do they need? What do the Bahamian police need to even bring a charge against this guy?
Well, to bring a charge, you have to have probable cause, which means it's reasonable to believe a crime was committed, and it's reasonable to believe that the defendant committed the crime. And they'd have to. I don't know that they have grand juries in the same way that we have here in the English system, but in order to get an indictment in the American system, or to go to a preliminary hearing and prove to a magistrate that there's probable cause, you have to show that it's reasonable to believe. Now, that's not very much. It doesn't take much. Famously, there was a prosecutor who said you can indict a ham sandwich, right? It doesn't take that much to get an indictment to show that it's reasonable to believe that a crime was committed. But in this case, is it reasonable to believe a crime was committed? Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of a stretch. And you could, with circumstantial evidence, prove the elements of the crime. And the circumstantial evidence would be here, all of the things you mentioned. He was the last one to be with her. By his own account, by his own statement, she fell in and was not rescued. And then his demeanor, the way he acted, which is unusual, and he seems awfully calm and awfully callous about the whole thing. Perhaps they could establish some kind of financial motive, that there was an insurance policy that would provide him with a windfall if she were to die. Maybe they can uncover that she was planning to divorce him or something like that. So those are the kind of things that they would need to establish, that there'd be a motive, and then that would make the whole motive, the whole situation make more sense, and perhaps catch him in a lie. So if they find her body and there's something suspicious about it, maybe the key's not with her or something like that, and for her to fall in and take the key with her, it would have had to have been, attached to her wrist with a lanyard or something like that, and they don't find that. Or maybe they find the key in his possession somewhere. I don't know. There are things like that they would look for that show he lied. That would be a big one.
And it's funny that you mentioned past marital problems, because they have produced text messages from a friend who gave it to the police back in, I believe, 25, where she said, I can't do this anymore. Basically, she was saying, I'm leaving him. But that was over a year ago.
Yeah, I think they reconciled there. That probably would be very attenuated. And the other thing is, you have to be careful in criminal prosecutions. We don't convict people of a current accusation based on them being a bad person or doing something bad in the past. Right now, there's limited relevance in the past. Now, in California, a prior act of domestic violence would be admissible, because they've decided that that's fair to bring up a past incident of domestic violence to prove you committed the domestic violence incident this time.
What about the daughter insisting that she witnessed him choking out his own biological daughter? Does that play in there?
That would go to him having violent propensities, but
this isn't really a violent crime, though.
Well, murder is. I mean,
even if you just push her off the boat,
yeah,
you're right.
I mean, that's a violent crime.
Yeah, you're right.
Even if he didn't actually physically kill her himself, I mean, but pushing her on the boat would be all. Sometimes it doesn't take that much. Unplugging a life support system would be enough to kill somebody. Sometimes pouring some poison into their drink or something like that. I mean, there are things that don't take that much effort that can have catastrophic results.
Yeah.
So I don't know but if I were the investigators, I would want to find some kind of an extra thing. He lied. He had a financial incentive, something other than just they had prior marital problems. That describes Most couples have arguments. That's not enough.
Right.
Some couples have minor incidents of domestic violence where there's a little bit of pushing or maybe restraint.
They were both injured, and she, as you mentioned, she was taken away, but they dismissed the charges because they couldn't figure out who instigated it.
Right. And they got over it.
Obviously,
as a lot of couples do.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this. Well, no, actually, I got one more question. It's an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. But I'll leave you with this in terms of this situation. What's going to happen? Take a shot.
Probably nothing.
You think he's going to walk?
Yeah,
I do
probably.
too.
I don't
I
think
do too.
They probably won't ever find the body. This isn't Lake Ming. This is the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Right? This is a lot of water out there with fish and sharks, and bodies don't last very long in the ocean.
Yeah. I will leave you with this, an unfair question. We've got the Vincent De Leon case, the case of the kidnapping of the girl from the gym.
Yes.
They're conceding the robbery and the kidnapping, but they're contesting the rape, which, have you ever dealt with rape as a criminal defense attorney?
I have, yes.
It would seem to me that would be the easiest thing physically to prove, no?
Well, consent is a difficult question, and from what I heard, and I'm not super familiar with all the evidence in this case, but what I understand is that they're arguing that there was potentially, there may have been an argument that there was consent, which seems crazy to me based on the media description of the case. But I don't know the evidence. That sexual intercourse took place, but the mental state of the participants is the question when it comes to rape. There has to be a lack of consent.
Isn't there a physiological difference or just a pure physical difference between consensual sex and rape sex?
It depends on the situation, but expert materials that I've consulted in the past say that it's very difficult forensically to tell. Now, often there can be, evidence of strangulation or other evidence of restraint, or people will use physical violence to beat somebody up to get them to submit to it, which is not consent. It's using force still, but it's not the same.
I thought there were like vaginal bruising and stuff of that nature.
There may be, and I don't think there's necessarily a consensus on that. But it is difficult.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It is difficult to tell.
I didn't know that. I thought it was fairly easy. That's why I asked, I guess. Appreciate you filling in. Can you come in next Tuesday? Is it too forward to know with your schedule?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, very good. And I'm reaching out to Umberto Sala. See I'm creating my text message. It's going to begin something like, if I vow not to bring up Z, will you come on and fill in 1 week?
That's fair. I mean, that's still a case that's in public dispute.
Yeah, no, I know. There's no way he's coming on if I bring up Scrivener. I realize that.
No, but he would be an excellent substitute.
Absolutely. And he loves me for some reason. I don't know why.
You're a likable guy.
Thank you, Clayton.
Some people would say you're an overall good egg.
I appreciate that, Clayton. I really do. Clayton Campbell, everybody. Quick timeout. We'll have a lot of time. We'll check the board. Get in the 4 o'clock hour on this Tuesday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live, KernRadio.com. Yeah, I think you might do it.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vit Dev. We will chat with local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser. John Cox will be here to administer the news quiz. We have news, we have traffic, we have weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for the protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research.
I'm waiting for
Not
the
all supplements are
last
created
minute, Jack.
equal. I trust Active
10
Liver
o'clock
because it's
tomorrow is
backed
my
by
appointment, and I'm going to
science,
fucking
meets
pay it on
strict
the way
quality
home from...
standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com, or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold has increased in value by over 12,000%. Central banks are buying gold at record levels. Major firms are holding significant positions in gold. And I choose to buy gold from Birch Gold Group. Stan Bongino, and it all starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. Sign up to get free silver on your next purchase if you qualify. And you can get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn.
Both P's are
But act now. This special event only runs through April 30th. So text my name Dan to the number 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text Dan to 989898 today. Message and data rates may apply.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust. Call Optima today for a free consultation.
783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
George, what are you doing? Where are your pants?
Hi, man, you said it was bottomless golf.
I said if you bought a Central Coast golf cart, it was like buying bottomless golf.
Oh.
Well, probably can't play here today. Let's go to one of the other courses on the Central Coast golf cart.
Yeah, good idea.
And let's get you some pants on the way.
I know, that's what I meant. Another good idea.
When it comes to golf, don't get caught with your pants down. 11 amazing California golf experiences for one low price. Limited quantities still available at CentralCoastGolfCarts.com.
Get ready for the 11th annual Mac and Cheese Fest, happening Saturday, May 9th at the Kern County Fairgrounds from 2 to 6 p.m. This year's event is going to be bigger and better than ever. Enjoy endless servings of mac and cheese, along with refreshing beer, spiked seltzers, cocktails, and live music. Tickets are on sale now. For more information and to grab your tickets, visit BakersfieldMacandCheeseFest.com. Happening Saturday, May 9th at the Kern County Fairgrounds from 2 to 6 p.m.
This event benefits the Bakersfield Ronald McDonald
And I was
House.
giving up my password to
Buck Sexton, live at 9 a.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Guy starts walking, sits down next to you and starts talking. Says she want to dance because she likes the groove. So come on, fatso, and just bust the move. Just bust the move.
I'm busting the move, y'all. Sorry.
You're on a mission and you're wishing someone could cure your lonely condition. Looking for love in all the wrong places. No fine girls, just ugly faces.
842-5376, 842-KERN. We head into the 4 o'clock hour. I want to thank Clayton Campbell. Hope we can get him back next week. And then we're going to get Berto in here. I think he'll do it. I really do. I think if I vow, and I think he'd be willing to take my word that I will not bring up Mr. Screw. I will not bring up mental diversion. I will not bring up anything related to that case. But it'd be fun to have him in here and just talk, whatever case is happening that week. Because I'm pretty sure Clayton's going to be back next Tuesday. And then that third Tuesday is the final vacation Tuesday for Teresa Golden as she returns from the Orient. But it'd be fun to have Humberto in here. It really would. He's a good guy, really good guy. We head into the 4 o'clock hour where we'll get into The Iranian situation, epic fury. The ceasefire is holding. The blockade is holding. However, the Pakistanis are calling for a second round of talks with the Iranians. We'll get into that, along with the Israeli-Lebanon situation, which is obviously connected, and whatever else is going on. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. For the first time in decades, Lebanon and Israel held direct diplomatic talks. Tuesday's more than 2-hour meeting in Washington came after more than a month of conflict between Israel and the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah. Yakil Leiter, Israel's U.S. ambassador, says it was clear Israel and Lebanon are on the same side of the equation.
The Lebanese government made it very clear that they will no longer be occupied by Hezbollah. And Iran has been weakened. Hezbollah is dramatically weakened. This is an opportunity. This is the first time our two countries are sitting together in over 3 decades. Let's feel the moment. Let's enjoy the moment. We enjoyed it together.
Lebanon's ambassador to the U.S. called for a ceasefire and to address the humanitarian crisis resulting from the conflict. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the talks a historic opportunity. Meanwhile, Qatari Foreign Ministry spokesman Majed Al-Ansari confirms Pakistan is leading ceasefire discussions with the U.S. and Iran, and Qatar is not directly involved.
We remain, in contact with our brothers in Pakistan who are leading this mediation. As you have seen, there has been a lot of calls and prospective visits from Pakistani officials with Qatari officials, and all of this is within this kind of coordination. But the whole region actually is engaging with Pakistan. We applaud the efforts of Pakistan. We support their efforts.
Last weekend, talks between the U.S. and Iran aimed at permanently ending the conflict in Iran failed to produce an agreement. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 317 points. The NASDAQ rose 455. The S&P 500 advanced 81, and oil dropped to around $92 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage guarding them, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
I kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
Oh, he's still here. Any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
2 cars hit on Highway 14 and a person dies as a result. I'm Chris Davis.
So let him go.
One of those cars T-boned the other, says the California Highway Patrol in an incident report on their website. All of that happened just after 5 Monday evening on Highway 14 at Highway 58 near exit 167. The wreck involved a Toyota Corolla and a Mazda. CHP says 1 person died, but the name of that person will be released later by the Kern County Coroner's Office. For now, officers are still working to try and determine why that crash happened. Police and fire investigators are still working to find out the why behind the big fire that had the large tower of smoke over East Bakersfield Saturday. The Kern County Fire Department now says it was a large number of bales of plastic that were burning inside that warehouse on Washington Street, just like the last time the place caught fire in March of 25. The fumes were noxious and the plastic burned hot and easily, and so far no one has been held responsible. But investigators are trying to remedy that.
I encourage parents to speak to their kids in regards to them carrying around these realistic style firearms, and I encourage you to speak to them to not participate in senior assassination.
That is from a video released on social media by the Delano Police Department. The game Senior Assassin involves kids shooting each other with water guns, but the big deal about this one is the armaments, the water guns that look very real and that police say they may not be able to tell. More than 26 tons of trash were cleaned up and hauled away last week in an area north of the Kern River near Chester Avenue and Manor Street, says the Bakersfield Police Department. They also arrested 3 people in that Oildale sweep responding to complaints from people in that area. 3 dogs were also taken to the animal shelter. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest well in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late, they start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 14th day of April, pre-tax day, pre-Jackie Robinson day. You notice, for the viewers, the only bobblehead or doll or replica or souvenir that I have up today is one Jack Roosevelt Robinson. In fact, let's make it a little more prominent, shall we? Let's put Jack right here for the day. Let's see if we can get him in a shot. There he is. Armless, but nevertheless, I received that on one of the many Jackie Robinson Day games I have attended, courtesy Mike Parent. Takeoff time 12:30 tomorrow. And the big thing is battling the cold. I'm an old man. I just can't do it. I was watching last night. I saw people in short sleeve shirts at about 9 o'clock. And I'm just like, I just don't know how they do it. I'm so susceptible to the cold. So I'm going t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt. So that's 2 shirts.
Okay.
Jackie Robinson jersey.
Okay.
Dodger hoodie.
Okay.
And $250 Dodger vest. I'll carry the vest because it won't get cold till like
5 layers.
Oh yeah, dude, it gets in the 50s in LA at night. You been in LA at night? It gets cold as hell. For it to be warm or pleasant in the evening in LA, it's got to be in the mid upper 80s in the day because it's coastal. It's going to get into if it's in the 80s, even if it's in the upper 70s, like it's going to be 75 degrees. It's going to be in the mid 50s by 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's 5th, 6th, 7th inning. You know what I'm saying? And one thing Big Dog is good about, because we all know Big Dog wants to leave it like the 6th inning, but he's good about staying as long as the fellas want. And I'm really excited because we're going with 2 guys that I've gone with before, friends of Big Dogs that I know, Scotty G and Ron, a friend of his. They're really good guys. So I'm really, really excited about that. I'm on a roll. This again gets to my thesis that life sucks and then there are blips. I'm currently riding a blip. I got some really good health news that it's very, very likely that I do not have cancer, that I shouldn't have had the MRI. That, as Donnie Youngblood tried to explain to me when I first talked about it on the show, 4.3 PSA really isn't that high. But again, whenever I talk about this, I want to reinstate the fact that I am appreciative of Hemel of over-examining it. At 63 years of age, I want my physician to go beyond rather than do less. And even though it cost me $1,200, and yes, I bring it up every time I talk about my MRI, it cost me $1,200 freaking. I'm appreciative. I really am. But my urologist said I would have never ordered the MRI. They said it's not that your PSA isn't that high. We will monitor it, come back in 6 months. And then he could see that I was kind of freaked out a little bit. And he said, would you feel better if we did it in 4 months? I was like, yes. Okay, we'll do it in 4 months. So I got that to start the week off because I was freaked out over the weekend. I'm not going to lie to you. I made a mistake and talked to a friend who had his whole prostate taken out. As I talked about yesterday, he talked about catheters and impotence and just all kind of things. I was just totally freaked out over the weekend. Totally freaked out. And this, even if there's something there, but it'll just be a biopsy. It'll be under anesthesia. We talked to Howard Marcus yesterday, who just underwent it, and he'll find out what his situation is soon. We're praying for him. But then I got the news. Then I'm going to Dodger game tomorrow. And then on Thursday morning, I'm playing golf with Mark Swain. He's got a 7:20 tee time and a guest pass at Sundale. So I can do that. 7:20. We're done by 8:20, 9:20. 10:30, I'm home by 11 with my In-N-Out burger.
True.
I can get the show done by 11 o'clock. I don't like to be outside of my routine, but I've got to play. I've swung the clubs twice since I changed my swing. Totally changed my swing. And it's totally because of our golf tournament. Because I had Mike Turnipseed shoot my drive, video it, and I had Randy videotape me hitting an iron. And it makes me want to cuss Chris Zucchini out because it's like, why hasn't anybody changed my damn swing? My swing is ugly as it's amazing. I'm as good as I am. Only pure eye-hand coordination because my swing is worthless. My swing is like the club is like right here. I'm going over my head and then corkscrewing back. And how I'm getting the face on that ball is due to my incredible eye-hand coordination and unbelievable physical talents. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But there's some truth to that because I'm so out of position. I mean, I'm like this at the top of my swing. It is so disgusting. My elbow's way out here. My arm's way out here. This arm is crooked. I look nothing like a golfer at the top of my swing. So now what I did is I went and hit balls, and I'm going over here. I'm trying to turn more and get the club back here where it belongs and keep this arm steadier and keep this elbow in like that, as opposed to Ralph Bailey, or as I'm called on the greens, Fred Flintstone. I really do swing like Fred Flintstone. When I was fat, I was the black Fred Flintstone. But so I'm excited about that. And then Friday, I don't know, Chris. I know it's dumb, but I'm going to do it anyway.
What is this now?
The X.
Ah.
Yeah.
Now, you understand which direction you are headed, right?
Yes.
Okay, as long as you're more than an understanding of what you're getting yourself into.
Because she has a young son who adores me.
Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
She's got the two sons. She's got the two sons that I knew when the older son was young, and she's got the younger son who I've known because we've stayed friends. But I just know it's a mistake. It's very rare. My parents had two friends who married, divorced, and remarried. The Seymours, Castoria Seymour, my dad's buddy. They married, divorced, and remarried, and they lived miserably and divorced again. I thought I was going to say happily ever after. No, they divorced the second time. There's a reason that people break up. But it's been a long time. It's been 18 years.
The best way it has been explained to me, it's like when you take a piece of tape, you put it on the wall, then you take it off. You can't stick it back on the wall again.
Yeah, you can.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. You know what I deduced last night? Why not? What do I got going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, true.
I don't go out. I can't meet anybody because I don't go out. You know, I'm a homebody. You know, I scratch my head that I'm not meeting anybody because I don't do anything.
True.
When I leave the house, I'm going to play golf. Period. That's about all I do. That's about all I do.
You have your routines.
Yeah, and they're boring as hell. And at my age, and that's the other thing, the age thing. Like I was in my 40s and she was in her 20s. Now she's in her 40s and I'm in my 60s. And together, what's the word I'm looking for? We look ridiculous. We look utter ridiculous because she still looks good. She still looks young. And I look like I'm 75. Like 3-4 years ago, when I still looked young, I could pull it off.
Uh-huh.
But now that I'm like I hate brushing my teeth in the morning. I really do.
That's just unhygienic.
No, it's not a hygienic thing. It's like, who is that man? Who is he? I'm like this. Who is that guy? What the thing and the turkey? Who are you? I don't know you. Where did young Ralph go? Where did he go? He's gone forever. And we just look ridiculous. And you know why I'm sensitive to that? The girls at Casey's Steakhouse.
Oh.
Remember when I was dating the 35-year-old black girl? I took her to Casey's Steakhouse, and Michelle, who I love, one of the best waitresses at Casey's Steakhouse, said, "Is that your niece?" Yeah. When in fact, I'm old enough to be her grandfather, but that's beside the point. But I don't know, Chris. I have no idea.
No, you're right. You got. I mean, if you're looking for something to get you back into the swing of things, why not?
Well, we hung out Saturday, and it seemed like, you know, you have a friend, and you haven't talked for a long time, and you talk as if no time had passed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we got along. We watched. You know, we watched. I watched Game of Thrones for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You ever seen this?
Oh, I've watched all of it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said I'd be hooked, and I am kind of curious because actually, I hate to admit it, because at first I was like, all right, I'll be this guy. I'll be the guy.
Yeah.
And I'll watch Game of Thrones with you. And then I was like, damn, this kind of, wait.
Tell you?
Did he just chop off his head?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, no, there's a lot that
Oh,
happens.
is she
in that
running
show.
around naked?
Yep.
Wait, hang on a second.
Yep.
Move over. Let me see this. Hang on. This is kind of good.
And hear me out here. Your favorite character, I can already tell you who it's going to be right now.
The big heavyset guy?
No.
Who?
Tyrion Lannister.
Which one is he?
Peter Dinklage.
I love him.
He is fantastic.
He is the comedy of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
At least in the one episode I saw.
Oh, no, and it gets better. And, like, his journey is very emotional, but you will love it. Trust me.
All right. So
now the ending, though, is interesting.
How many seasons are there?
Ooh, I got to double check. Hold on.
So I got a long way to go. Okay. Well, at least I got something to look at. Who you got?
Jerry's on the line.
Jerry, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hey, how you doing?
Sorry I had to sit through that, Jerry.
No, I understand, man. Hey, I saw you at the Open, you know, for the honor flight.
Yeah, I remember you, Jerry. You don't have to remind me.
Yeah. I'm just saying that you don't have to worry about your golf swing. I've had Joe Haggerty as a teacher for 35 years on and off. And I don't know if you ever took a lesson from Joe.
I have taken 2 lessons my whole life. That's my issue. I took a lesson in Hawaii when I was 15 years old, and I took a lesson about 3 years ago when I had the Shanks with Dave up at Sundale, but I've never taken a lesson. And I got Neil Batista at BCC that's volunteering to give me lessons, but I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to. I want to take a lesson from like a stranger.
No, man, you know what? Joe Haggerty Jr. is he's one of the best people you'll ever meet, and he will. You tell him you know Jerry in here because I've been hitting balls.
Well, I've known Joe. I've known Joe since the '90s. Joe used to be a regular on my show when I was at Buckley Radio. So I've known Joe. I've known Joe since Wasco days.
Yeah, I met him out at Wasco Valley Road.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell you what, he will take care of you, man. He will take care of you. And he had me hitting balls 180 yards straight. I'm 73 years old.
Really?
He had me hitting them, like line drive.
You go out to Seven Oaks? You go out to Seven Oaks and gives you lessons?
Yeah.
Are you a member?
Yeah, well, I am now. He kind of brought me in just for lessons, but everybody was so nice, I ended up joining. He took good care of me. But anyway, so he's wonderful. He even let me do a putt with my cane. I have a cane, and I hit it in like a 30-footer with the top of my cane where it curves.
Nice.
And I did another one too. No, he's a great teacher. He relates it to my baseball. You know, I played hardball in Bakersfield for 25 years. We used to play against some of the Bakersfield Dodgers. And
well, then you're a natural then.
Yeah, I'm a natural.
Baseball players are pretty good golfers.
I'm a lefty.
Yeah, because it's pretty much on certain levels, it's the same swing because it's about weight balance and, you know, going from right to left, or for you, left to right. Yeah. But yeah, that's why baseball players and hockey players make natural golfers.
Yeah, I played hockey too. Man.
Yeah.
But, it's a wonderful thing, but yeah, don't get too critical of your swing. My baseball coach, Charles Richardson, he passed away, but he basically said, see the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, throw the ball. I mean, you don't have to do all that thinking. You know, I was batting 400, man. I played with the Mattia brothers and Jeladich and all those guys. And then I was, you know, I wasn't the stud of the league. I never got a home run in 25 years, but I got a lot of singles, and I was real fat, and I used to get hit by the ball. One time I got hit, you know, that spare tire around your waist. I got hit with a ball in. It was like a tattoo. You could see the seams on there, and they rose up.
Well, that's when I lost my swing, is when I lost my weight. I was a 12, 13 handicap when I was a fatso.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're going to do it, Ralph. You're looking good. I saw you, man. You're fine. You're losing that weight. So you have a great day, and I'll be thinking of you. All
right, Jerry. Thanks for the call. I appreciate the kind words, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Put on a little weight. Put on 3 pounds. I weighed 190 the other day at the doctor's. I was 185 last week. Put on like 5 pounds. But I'm good at 190 if I just stay right here. I'm good. I'm going to eat like a fool tomorrow. A little prime rib, a little turkey, a little pasta. Then around about the 5th, 6th inning, a couple Dodger dogs. And then around the 8th, 7th, 8th inning, a little ice cream and a helmet. It's the Bailey routine at Dodger Stadium. My blue heaven. My blue heaven. Quick time out. We'll check the board, see what y'all are talking about. Get to the bottom of the hour. Get into a couple of situations. I haven't talked about the Pakistani peace treaty yet. They're calling for a second round of talks. We'll get into that. And we'll talk about the Vincent De Leon case, the rape, kidnap, and robbery case. And then number 5, we're going to meet Steve Henson, a Centennial graduate, works for NASA, was part of the Artemis II project. And then we'll wrap up the show talking about Jack Roosevelt Robinson. It is Jackie Robinson Day tomorrow, where every member of Major League Baseball will be wearing number 42. In the meantime, you're listening to a guy that used to wear 42 in high school, or 24, one of the two. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 11, AM 1230. Damn, that's the first time I've done that. AM 1230 and streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with a friend, Dr. Vit Dev. We will chat with local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser. John Cox will be here to administer the news quiz. We have news, we have traffic, we have weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. Business owners, how many times have you called your IT company and felt like just another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just the promise, it's how they do business every single day. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because they are a client of ours and we are a client of theirs. IT is incredibly important for a radio station. We can't depend on somebody saying, well, we'll be out there tomorrow, because all you hear is nothing. So it's do or die for us. That's why we depend on adaptive networks. And when you call, you'll actually talk to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no runaround, no attitude. That's what adaptive networks are all about. Call today at 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638. Join the IT network that American General Media uses every day.
Let's be honest, money can feel overwhelming. Markets change, life changes, and most people are left wondering, am I actually on track? That's when MoneyWise comes in. We help people simplify the complex, make smart financial decisions, and move forward with confidence, without the jargon, without the pressure. Retirement planning, big life transitions, or just getting organized and knowing where you stand. And now you can find us in a new home, the historic Woolworths building, right in downtown Bakersfield. MoneyWise, clear advice, local roots. Learn more at moneywiseguys.com.
Securities offered through FPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through FPL Financial. FPL Financial and MoneyWise Wealth Management are independently owned and operated.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez. Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Ellie, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on
So let me explain my life sucks theory, because Stella in the chat room says, Ralph, I completely disagree with you. I look at it differently. I think life is wonderful with a few valleys. I think you misinterpret when I say that life sucks and that life is a struggle. That's the way life is supposed to be, or at least that's the way I was raised. That anything that you want in life, you're going to have to work hard for. It's going to be a struggle. It is a struggle for me to put a 3-hour show together every single weekday. It really is. But it's a joy. It's difficult, and that's what makes it fun. I've got to figure out what people are talking about and what would be interesting. And it is hard to do, but it is fun. It is hard to get up in the morning and go to work every day. I would much rather grab my blue golf bag and go play golf. But I've got responsibilities to myself and to my family. And as difficult as that is, that struggle is fun. And I think what we have done, us 50-plussers, is we haven't made that clear to our children. And our children expect to be happy all the time. As I've always talked about, we're the only country in the history of this planet where the word happy is literally in our Constitution. The pursuit of. And I think what has happened with this generation is they expect to be happy. They don't want to go through that struggle. They've had you as a parent as that safety net. And that's not how life works. But that's what makes life worth living, the struggle. If everything came easy to you, have you never seen The Twilight Zone where the criminal thinks he's gone to heaven because he wins at everything and it's actually hell? Because if everything was easy, everything would suck. Quick time out. Last half hour of the 4. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military claims it has successfully begun enforcing a blockade of Iranian ports, escalating tensions with Iran. The Islamic Republic has threatened regional strikes. Recent talks between the U.S. and Iran ended without an agreement, but President Trump suggested a second round could take place in the next 2 days. The Justice Department has asked a federal appeals court to throw out the seditious conspiracy convictions of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers leaders who were sentenced to prison terms for leading members of the groups in attacking the U.S. Capitol over 5 years ago. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 317 points. The Nasdaq rose 455. The S&P 500 advanced 81. Oil dropped to around $92 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. One person was killed Monday afternoon in a wreck on Highway 14 near Highway 58, says the Highway Patrol. The wreck involved a Mazda and a Toyota, and CHP says the person died when one of the cars T-boned the other. Their name has not been made public. Delano police are warning you to warn your kids against playing the game Senior Assassin. The department put out a video this week showing one of the guns used in the game. It's a water pistol, but it looks very real, and the officers say in a split second they may not be able to tell the difference, which can make the game quite dangerous. Gas has gone up a couple of cents since Monday, and the average price in the state is now at $5.86, says Gas Buddy. The cheapest in this area is now $5.05 at a station on Edison Highway in Bakersfield. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. If you're eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. You know, for years, I've been telling you QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544 and let us help you understand your options for 2026. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs and meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711. So there's
First
nothing
Look
different
with
but
Scott
the day.
Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday
nothing
edition of the
different
First Look
about that
program,
spot
we'll talk
but
a little
the day.
medicine with our friend Dr. Vit Dev. We will
phone
chat
number's
with
the
local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser.
I will say some of the verbiage on this one was different.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not by much, but they just changed it up.
AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting
Yeah,
at 1
about
p.m.
local
Now back to the
doctors,
Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk
trusted
96.1
Yeah,
and
that's
AM
new.
1230, KERN.
KERN. Let's check the board. We haven't done that yet today. What do you got?
Ralph, I'll see you tomorrow at the game. I always sit by Dodgers bullpen. My favorite part of the movie 42 is when Pee Wee Reese tells Jackie, "Don't worry about those dumb chants. Heck, tomorrow we'll all be wearing number 42, and they won't be able to tell us apart."
I think that is the scene that's based on a real life situation. If we're talking about the same scene, I've seen 42 a couple of times, but it's Pee Wee Reese was one of the few open-minded Southerners that was on the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he was completely open-minded because he was kind of the focus of Jackie coming up, because Jackie all throughout UCLA was a shortstop, and in fact played shortstop in Montreal, at that time the Brooklyn Dodgers AAA club. And so obviously when word got out that the signing of Jackie Robinson was inevitable, they had to run to Pee Wee Reese and say, what do you think of a brother taking your gig? And Reese, who was from Kentucky, came out and said, well, if he's good enough to take my gig, then he should start. And if you're a true Dodger fan, or if you're even just a movie fan, you should know that they smartly moved Jackie to first base when he first came up. And then they moved him to second base. And then he played third base. He played shortstop on days where Pee Wee would get a day off. He played the entire infield. But we'll talk more about his life in the 5 o'clock hour. But the scene that you're talking about was they were playing in Cincinnati, and he was getting a bunch of death threats because I guess Ohio is near Kentucky. My Midwest geography is really bad. But there were a lot of Southerners in the audience, and Pee Wee Reese went over and put his arm around Jackie, and that kind of settled the crowd in terms of the Southerners who were there to see Pee Wee and his relationship with Jackie Robinson. I had some audio from Jackie that I was going to play, but it's so bad because he had a really, I used to be able to do a really good Jackie. He had a really high pitched voice, and it's like 1974 audio. It's the Game 2 of the World Series, and Bowie Kuhn is there, and it's the famous speech where he says, "I'll be real proud when there's a black man in that third base box," because back in the 70s and before, it ended right about the mid 70s, but up until the mid 70s, the manager used to be the third base coach. And in fact, if you're a true Dodger fan and you're old, you know that Tommy, once they even stopped doing that, if the Dodgers got into a slump, every now and then, Tommy would go be the third base coach, as he was before he became a manager. Because there was a period, like I said, there was a period where they would, the manager was the third base coach. But Walter Alston became, in fact, he may have started the trend, because Alston stopped doing it because he was so old. You got to, a third base coach, you got to be kind of active. You got to be like, come on, let's go. You got to get out. And Alston was like in his late 60s, early 70s when he finally retired. And Tommy was the third base coach. And of course, Tommy had coached that entire infield in AAA. He coached Russell and Say and the late Davey Lopes and Steve Garvey and Bobby Valentine and Bill Buckner. They were all part of that Walla Walla team back in the late 60s and early 70s. And like I said, when they would get into a slump, and Tommy was classic. I mean, Tommy was a great third base coach. He was so much fun to watch. Tommy was the first guy that would do the belly thing. Like when he wanted you to get down, Tommy would get on his belly at third base. And I did that at Little League, and the kids loved it. I don't know why, but they absolutely loved it. I would do it if the ball was still in the outfield. I'd be like, get down, and get on the belly. And I could hear the kids in the dugout laughing. And my youth, I'm sorry. I wander off into my youth. But yeah, Pee Wee Reese was a big part of Jack's success, and they remained friends till Jackie Robinson's death. In fact, Pee Wee Reese was one of the pallbearers at his funeral. And I'm sure most of you know that Jack died young. He died of diabetes at 56 years old. He was going blind, which means he completely ignored it, never saw a physician. They were going to amputate his foot before he died. That's how bad it was. That's sad. What else you got?
Just got one more here. It says, Ralph, really? First you tell us you don't bathe on the weekends, and now you're saying you don't brush your teeth?
No one said I don't brush my teeth. I was making a joke about looking myself in the mirror. And I said, I hate to brush my teeth. I'm sorry I didn't complete the sentence. I assumed you knew where I was going with that description. But the point is, when you brush your teeth, most of us have a bathroom mirror that we look into. And the point of the story is that I was getting old. Stella got it because she told me, you don't look old, Ralph, but you act old. You act and you sound old. Because I'm not handling it well, Stella. I thought I could. I thought I would. I really did. I really thought I was going to be one of these cool guys because my mom looks gorgeous at 84, and I didn't think I would age so quickly. I think that's what happened. I went from 57, and I think it's because I lost the weight. Because when I was a fatso, my face was full. And then when I lost the weight, I've got these, the droops in the neck and the thing and the thing and the butt. But the listeners are a trip. I mean, you knew what I was saying, but you just wanted to suggest that I don't brush my teeth. I mean, I got some halitosis for you. Don't get me wrong. They removed 2 of my teeth when I broke my jaw, and no, it's not good. You don't want to be in my mug, believe me. Ask Chris; he'll tell you. But no, I brush my teeth twice a day. I just don't like looking myself in the mirror. I really don't. Got this big old bump on the right side of my forehead and jowls, and I just don't look like the young kid I once was. That's all. But thanks for suggesting that I don't brush my teeth. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. In the meantime, as I mentioned, the Pakistanis are calling for renewed talks. I'm not sure we should show up. I think it shows weakness. Screw them at this point. The strait is still closed, so we're still hurting them. They're losing $257 million a day, $13 billion a month. And again, I just absolutely disregard Kathy's belief that this thing is planned. Kathy suggested, yesterday, that the Strait of Hormuz blockade was part of the plan. Does anybody believe that? You really think Hegseth said, and then we'll blockade the Strait of Hormuz? That's an impossibility. That's an absolute impossibility. Because at one point, the president was telling Western Europe to go get their own oil, that we're going to walk away, that we're going to have nothing to do with it. And what did he say? You heard it. You guys are engaged. And when we leave, the Strait of Hormuz will open up again. Now, who believes that? And what has been the theme of my take on this whole epic fury? You got to play it straight. And he just absolutely refuses. And now Democrats are suggesting that maybe he's losing his mind. And, I know they're doing this because they still have guilt of hiding Joe Biden's incompetence. They all knew what was going on with Biden. They all knew. And if they didn't know, they had to have known. The demarcation point was that infamous Hollywood fundraiser they did in LA in Century City, where George Clooney said Biden had no clue who he was, and he didn't mean that as a big shot celebrity. You don't know who George Clooney is? No, they're friends. He has a relationship with Joe Biden, does George Clooney. And he literally didn't know who he was. And that's the very same night that most of you remember Barack Obama had to lead him off the stage. Obama is doing the election thing. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. And he looks over and Biden's just standing there. He's not even doing the election thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate you. Good night, everybody. He's just standing there. And Barack has to literally go over and be like, Joe, let's walk off the stage. That was the demarcation night. After that night, there's not one Democrat that can't say, I didn't know. That can say, I didn't know. Nobody could say, because even Clooney knew. And as you remember, if you are engaged and followed that campaign, Clooney wrote a letter saying that was the night I knew something was wrong. So there's no Democrat. If a two-bit actor from Hollywood pointed out the fact that the leader of the free world had lost it, then no Democrat could claim I didn't know. Because Clooney knew, and I'm assuming because you're in D.C. and you're a legislator and you have more interaction with this man that you would have known, but they all played stupid. So now, in retrospect, they're going after Trump's sanity. And at times you're thinking, could they be right? I mean, this whole Jesus thing, I thought I was being portrayed as a doctor. Like, come on, man. I cannot count how many times I've gone as a doctor on Halloween. And I've never worn Jesus's robes. You know what I'm saying? It's a really easy costume to implicate, to duplicate. You put on if nothing else, a stethoscope around your neck. That's all you got to do. You can be wearing a blue suit, but if you got a stethoscope around your neck, you could have played that off. But if you're wearing white and red robes, and then he made some allusion to the Red Cross. There's no Red Cross individual in that photograph. There's a nurse. It just makes me wonder sometimes. It has to make you wonder. So this idea that the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz was all part of a plan is an absolute absurdity and impossibility. Absolute impossibility. And the statements of the president and the Secretary of Defense illustrate that. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's go ahead and take a break, and we come back. Chris is on the phone. We might have a caller, and we'll check the board. I'll check the chat room, see what you all are talking about. Then coming up at 5, I'm excited about this. We're going to meet Steve Henson, a friend of Jennifer Van Alstyne's, classmate of hers at Centennial, who has gone on to work for NASA, and he was part of the Artemis II project. We'll find out what his role was and get his thoughts on deep space travel and what the Artemis program means. Get his thoughts on Artemis 3, which is going to land on the moon, and Artemis 4, which is going to establish a base, which will allow us to go off to Mars. We'll talk to Steve Henson at 5. And then we'll wrap up the show at 5:30 talking about the life and times of Jackie Robinson, Jack Roosevelt Robinson, born in Cairo, Georgia, raised in Pasadena. Just a couple of the things that Mr. Robinson and I have in common. Both born in Georgia, both raised in Los Angeles. And the fact that we wore 42 when we played sports. But other than that, that's about it. There's no comparison between me and Jack Robinson. Although he did have the complexion of my dad. He was a dark-skinned brother, was JR. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. And I got some new ones, and I can't remember them, Chris. I had like 3 new ones, and for the life of me, I can't remember them. I got the cave and the oil light. That's my favorite. My dad was so dark when he got out of his car, his oil light would go on. Just saying, he was dark. Mom didn't buy lotion. She bought Armor All. He was a dark brother. I'm just saying. Quick time out and coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.
Luigi's.
Oh, I keep forgetting.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vit Dev. We will chat with local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser. John Cox will be here to administer the news quiz. We have news, we have traffic, we have weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, there are all kind of ways to be a patron at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen. For example, They're the weekend Luigi people that only go on a Friday afternoon. I am admiring them and envious of them. Then the Saturday afternoon folks, those are more like me that don't have time to be there on the weekdays and really go on the weekends. And then there are those that go on special days because there are specials on certain days. My personal favorite day is Thursday because that's the day that salmon is one of the specials, that candy-coated salmon that Gino Valpredo does. Tuesdays, Wednesdays is the lasagna. They just have different specials. And you know how you can find out what the specials are? Grab one of the Matchbox covers on the front at the desk, and it has a list of all the specials on the certain days. Where would you rather be for lunch in this town than Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show?
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-9069. 800-525-9069. 800-525-9069.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, live at 9 a.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
This album, Funk the Beat Funk, I want to get funked up. They stop Funk the Beat Funk, I want to get funked up. I want to ride to the beat funk, want to get funked up. This would cause my father to buy headsets. Swear to God, it was this album. Because I would blast this. And we went back and forth. Come on! Turn that noise down, boy! And I'd be like, damn. And so after about 2 or 3 nights of this, did you hear what I said? Turn that noise down! And about the 3rd day, he finally said, here. I said, what is it? It was in a box. And I was like, all excited. I was like, what is it, Pop? Just open it. And I was like, why are you angry? You give me a gift and you're mad? I said it in my head. I didn't say it to my father. And I opened it up and it was, and this is, this is mid-70s. And it was a headset. And he said, look, you take this and you plug that into the stereo and you give me peace. And he walked out of my bedroom. We'll never forget that. Isn't it weird how they're like days in your life? I mean, this is like 70, 80, 90, 06, 16, 20. It was 50 years ago. And I mean, I could write in a script exactly what was said between the two of us. Isn't that crazy? But I couldn't tell you what I had for dinner last night. I had Lawson's. I walked to Lawson's again. Aren't I getting crazy? Where the guy was doing my thing because you can give them a number and a name and you can get discounts. And so I've given them my name. And without me telling him my name, the guy was like, "Isn't that interesting?" I was like, "What?" And he said, "Your name is Ralph and you're wearing a Ralph Lauren sweater." It's been like a week.
Point out, but
no, the point being, it's been like what? Like a week, 10 days I've been hanging out at Lawson's now.
Right. No, I'm more saying on his point.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a weird thing.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But the fact that they know my name now, they're like there are 3 front desk people that know my name at Lawson's. Because it solves 2 problems. I get great steps. What do you think that is? That's about 1,000 steps from here to there.
I would think so.
It's about 10 blocks. Get some steps in. And I just love the food. They have the pasta every night. What did I have last night? And it's something different every night. Like last night, what did I have last night? I had, they always have like a chicken-based dinner. And it's all organic. So it's fairly healthy. Problem is I'm getting huge portions. I get a bunch of brown rice, and then I get the chicken, and I pour that over with the sauce, and then I get a bunch of that pesto pasta that a month ago I wouldn't have eaten because I was all freaked out about my A1C. But now I'm kind of like eating pasta again. And they have like potatoes, like those little spud potatoes, and broccoli, warm broccoli, and I don't know why I'm doing it so often, but I'm getting like 5,000 steps a day. I only get like 3,000 circling the complex, and that, and then I've been getting dropped off at Starbucks and getting my medicine ball, my tea, and I ate the egg and the cheese. So that's another, what do you think that is? Another 500 steps from Starbucks to here?
Yeah. So
I'm adding like 1,500, 2,000 steps a day by doing those 2 things. So that's what I've been doing. I've been, I only averaged like 3,000 steps a day last year. And I really got to get that up. And a lot of that, a lot of that was last year.
Walking around the comp?
Gout.
Oh, yeah.
Remember last year? I had a bad year of gout last year.
Yeah, that's true.
And there were just days where I was not. There were like that 1 week where I missed work, where there was like a 4-day period where I had like 90 steps in like 4 days. And those steps were literally to my bathroom, to my front door. I just am never going through that again. Just never. Never, ever. I take that allopurinol every single day. And I just read that there are some side effects from allopurinol. Ooh. Yeah, that scared the crap. I didn't even read it. It popped up on my thing. I tell you, my phone listens to me. My phone absolutely listens to me. Because how in the world is the drug allopurinol coming up on my phone? An anti-gout drug just happens to pop. The anti-gout drug that I happen to be taking just pops up on my phone. Really? I don't buy that. And so I didn't even read it because I don't care, because I have no choice at this point. I'm not dealing with it. You have no idea. They were talking about this on, who was talking about this? Barkley was talking about this the other night. And he was comparing it to, as he is wont to do, childbirth. He always bags on women for complaining about childbirth. And it's like, Chuck,
you really got to stop doing
I
that.
know, and he's been married forever. I am shocked that his wife is like, you got to knock that off, bro.
Do you have kids?
Oh, yeah. He's got a beautiful, beautiful daughter.
I've just never heard of any of his.
He rarely talks about his family, and he rarely talks about his wife, and you rarely see his wife. He's married to a white girl. And has been forever. They've been together since, like, Philly. Like, he's.
You know what? That's on brand for him, though.
Chuck's a good dude.
Yeah.
Chuck's a good dude. I don't think he's a cheater. I think he's as honest as the day is long. I think he is one of the few kids that came out of the ghettos of Leeds, Alabama, and truly, truly appreciates his life. You know what I mean? He really understands, I'm a lucky SOB I was a big fat kid, and Moses Malone took me under his wing and said, "You're never going to make it." Was totally blunt with him. He talks about it all the time. Because he went to Moses, because they drafted him high, obviously, coming out of Auburn. And he went to Moses and said, "Why am I not playing?" He goes, "Dude, you got all the talent in the world. You're a fatso." And he started working out with Moses, and bing, bang, bong, next season, he's in the starting lineup. And he's one of the few athletes that really feels like he's lucky and blessed and is really humbled by it. We're off to Florida. We're going to meet Steve Henson when we come back.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is hinting at another round of peace talks with Iran. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
In a phone call with the New York Post, the president said a second round of talks with Iran could be happening over the next 2 days. He initially told the newspaper they would likely be held somewhere in Europe, but later suggested that they could be held again in Pakistan's capital. Last weekend's initial round of talks ended without an agreement on Iran's nuclear ambitions, which the Trump administration says is a central sticking point. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Meanwhile, in Washington today, Israel and Lebanon participated in talks over ending the conflict between those two countries. Yakil Leiter, Israel's U.S. ambassador, says Lebanon deserves credit for taking part in the talks, despite pressure from Hezbollah to stay away.
We discovered today that we're on the same side of the equation. And that's the most positive thing we could have come away with. We are both united in liberating Lebanon from an occupation power dominated by Iran called Hezbollah.
The month-long war between Israel and Hezbollah has killed over 2,100 people and displaced more than 1 million, leaving Lebanon desperate for a diplomatic solution, while Israel has ruled out an immediate ceasefire. The Justice Department has asked the Federal Appeals Court to throw out the seditious conspiracy convictions of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers leaders who were sentenced to prison terms for leading members of the groups in attacking the U.S. Capitol over 5 years ago. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 317 points. The Nasdaq rose 455, with the S&P 500 advancing by 81 points. More at townhall.com.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hi, Flo here from Progressive. You know, life changes quickly, so it's good to have flexible coverage. Oh, you mean like adding another vehicle? Yes, that's something we can do. Great, because I was thinking about getting a van so we could just keep the kids' softball stuff in the car. Oh, we don't need to get into specifics. Just saying it's easy to change. Oh, and Hannah wants to try the tuba. Again, we don't need the specifics. Last year, she wanted to be a tap dancer, but that only lasted 2 lessons. Okay, but she kept the shoes because they are adorable. Well, just know that with Progressive, you can easily add another car to your auto insurance because we know life changes.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
A wreck on Highway 14. One person is dead. I'm Chris Davis. The name of the person killed in that Monday wreck will be released later by the Kern County Coroner's Office, says the Highway Patrol. This is what they say went down just after 5 p.m. Monday. It was near exit 167, which is near Highway 58, that a Mazda and a Toyota Corolla hit. CHP says one of the cars T-boned the other, and one person died in the wreck, and they are still working on finding out why. The game is called Senior Assassin, and it's played with water guns. Sounds like something you might have done as a teenager. But officers with the Delano Police Department put out a video this week encouraging you to talk to your kids about why the police believe they shouldn't play that game.
Why is that a problem? The problem is officer responded calls for service for subjects with a firearm, and we don't know if this is real or not.
That's from the video. The officers there say the kids are playing with guns that look too real, and police may not be able to tell the difference at a critical moment. What was burning in that warehouse that was on fire Saturday were large bales of plastic that were stored there, according to a spokesperson for the Kern County Fire Department, who says that it's the third fire in under 2 years at that warehouse, which is on Washington Street in an industrial area where there have been other fires. He says the cause still has not been determined, but that the plastic that was in there was both highly flammable and made noxious fumes. People were congregating and living again just north of the Kern River in an area near Chester Avenue and Manor Street, and that had the Bakersfield Police Department doing another operation to remove them. Bakersfield PD says that happened last Wednesday, and 3 people were arrested, 3 dogs taken to the animal shelter, and more than 26 tons of trash cleaned up. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-9376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 14th day of April. It is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, where we're streaming live, KERNradio.com. Still lots to do in the final hour. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk about the life and times of Jack Roosevelt Robinson. Tomorrow is Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. Every player on a field in Major League Baseball will be wearing 42 in honor of Jackie entering baseball in 1947 on April 15th. Branch Rickey brought him up from the Montreal Expos, and the floodgates would open. Roy Campanella, Don Newcomb, Larry Doby would soon follow, and it was really only the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees who absolutely refused. I think it was the Yankees had Elston Howard throughout the 60s, but that was about it. And the Red Sox, the Yorkie family, I don't think they had an African-American literally until the 1970s. And, I've studied Dr. King, and he studied in Boston, and he's always talked about, they talk about the Deep South, but he said he fought more racial fights in Boston and Chicago than he ever did anywhere in the South. But we'll talk about Jack Robinson at the bottom of the hour and a little more sports. Dodgers get a big win last night. Start their end of their homestand with the New York Mets, ending tomorrow. Tonight, Shinobu Yamamoto takes the bump, and tomorrow night, Shohei Ohtani goes for the Dodgers. But in the meantime, the Artemis II crew is back and safe after their lunar flyby mission. This is a test mission of the Orion space capsule with the astronauts titled Integrity. And through our connections with Jennifer Van Alstyne, she contacted me and said, I have a classmate from Centennial who works for NASA and was part of the Artemis II program. So we are excited to get our next guest, Steve Henson, on. Steve, thanks for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph.
Where do we find you? In Cape Canaveral or somewhere near there?
Yeah, Cape Canaveral. Yep.
Is that where you live?
It is. Yeah, I live just south of there. But
yeah,
I work out at the Cape.
Yep. How long have you been with NASA?
So 4.5 years. So I've been with NASA 4.5 years. I was at the Michoud Assembly Facility in New Orleans, and then followed the Artemis rocket out to Cape Canaveral. So yeah, living in Florida now.
What exactly do you do, and what did you do as part of the Artemis program?
I'm an engineering senior manager. So I've got 75 engineers I work on the Space Launch System, so that's the rocket itself.
Wow.
So I have a production-facing engineering team.
Wow.
So yeah, even had folks on console for the launch.
That is incredible. What is your background? How did you get into this? Where'd you go to college? What did you study? How does one get into literally rocket science?
Yeah. So I grew up in Bakersfield. Got family there. Went to Centennial. Graduated in 2004. And then also went to Bakersfield College. So got an AA degree in business administration from BC.
The folks up in the Northeast will love to hear that. They produced a rocket scientist.
And then after that, I went to Brigham Young University in Utah. I studied engineering there with an emphasis in composites, and landed a job with Boeing working on the 787, and then ended up working on the 777X composite wing. And then I found an opportunity to play with space. So I moved out to New Orleans to work on the SLS rocket.
Tell us, explain to us exactly what the Artemis program is all about.
Yeah, so Artemis program we're just at the beginning of it. So
right.
The intent is that the Artemis program continues on out through, Artemis 100. So I was around for Artemis 1, which was uncrewed mission around the moon that went successfully. And then Artemis 2 is a mission that just ended, unfortunately, because I've loved the last couple of weeks. It's been just amazing.
I can't even imagine. I can't, because I've been, as my listeners have noted, I've been out of my skin about it. I'm a huge space nut. I believe that this is the beginning of deep space travel. I truly believe that.
It is. Yeah. And the crew, I've just fallen in love with the crew. I think all of America has. And I've met all of them. I've met all the crew members. And they're just amazing people. And just to watch the journey and just be able to be there with them was amazing.
Yeah.
And we're building Artemis 3 and Artemis 4. So I work in the vertical assembly building here at the Cape, and we have the SLS core stage engine section for 3 and for 4.
Explain what SLS is.
Yeah, it's the Space Launch System. So that's the name of the rocket itself. So Artemis is a much larger program. So Artemis encompasses much more than just this particular rocket. So the SLS rocket, Space Launch System rocket, that's the rocket that you saw orange with the 2 solid rocket boosters on the side.
Right.
And then the Orion capsule, where the astronauts reside. All of that is the SLS rocket itself. So the distinction will become important once we get to Artemis 3 and beyond, because with Artemis 3, we have the SLS rocket, but then we also have either Blue Origin's New Glenn or SpaceX's Starship that also participate, because they'll take up the landers. So they're both in competition on the lander. So for Artemis 3, it'll just be a low Earth orbit mission to test out the Orion capsule mating with the lander. And then Artemis 4 is now the moon landing mission.
Now, walk us through, they replicated hooking up with the lander in this Artemis 2 trip, did they not? And explain how they did that.
Yeah. So not on this mission. So that'll be the next mission. So Artemis 3 is where we'll mate the Orion with the landing module. So
with an actual landing module.
Correct.
But I thought on this mission that they rehearsed that somehow. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, they didn't. No, not on this mission. So the lander's not yet ready.
Right. That was my next question.
They're well in work. So mid next year is the plan. So the lander is supposed to be ready. So around June of next year. But for Artemis 2, so everything else was tested. Really, the main purpose for Artemis 2 was to test the systems for sustaining life in deep space.
Right.
We have quite a few more safety protocols than when we did with the Apollo missions with the Saturn V. So making sure that we're keeping the astronauts safe.
Yeah. We're talking with Steve Henson. He's part of the Artemis program down in Cape Canaveral, Florida. As simply as you can, explain how this thing propels Orion into space.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a ridiculous question, but nevertheless.
No, it's awesome. So, and to see it pour chops is something else. So I saw Artemis 1 and 2 with my family. So we've got the core stage, which is the center section is the orange part of the rocket.
Right.
It's got four engines on it, and then it's got 2 solid rocket boosters on the sides, which are the same design as what you saw on the space shuttle.
Right.
So the shuttle external tank had solid rocket boosters on it. So all of the 6 engines produce 8.8 million pounds of thrust at takeoff. So it's just mind-boggling power. And when you're close to it, so I was about 3 miles away for Artemis 1. It's a little further away for Artemis 2, but you can feel it.
Really?
It is just raw American power. It's just a beautiful thing.
That is incredible. And what is the G-force like on the astronauts at takeoff?
So I don't know. I don't remember what the G-forces are. I'm sure it's quite the ride. Every time I would walk up to the rocket. So I work in the vertical assembly building, and had the privilege of every day seeing the rocket before it launched. And you look up, and just to imagine sitting on the top of that thing when it's lighting off, I'd imagine it's probably something in the tune of like 5 Gs.
Yeah, easy.
That they're pulling.
Yeah, that is just incredible. It really, really is. Talking with Steve Henson. So Artemis 4 will establish the moon base. And
that's correct. So
what will that be like?
4 is a landing. Yeah. So they'll land on the surface of the moon. Now it was going to be 3, so just that's a slight change. It was Artemis 3 was planned to be a landing mission until about 6 weeks ago. About 6 weeks ago, we pulled Artemis 3 ahead in the schedule with the intent to exercise some of the systems ahead of the landing mission. So Artemis 4 is planned for 2028 now, and 2 astronauts. So yet to be named who the crew for Artemis 3 or Artemis 4 are. But 2 astronauts will go down to the surface of the moon, and then there'll be a few unmanned robotic missions to send some robotics to the surface of the moon just before that. And then 2 astronauts will go to the surface of the moon with Artemis 4
and
come back.
The point being to establish a takeoff point for Mars, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So the intent is with Artemis program is to have a sustained presence on the moon. And that's a slight change just here recently with the new administration. So Jared Isaacman, we were going to build a habitat that would orbit the moon, very similar to the International Space Station.
Right.
But instead of orbiting Earth, it was going to orbit the moon. And just recently, about 6 weeks ago, that changed. And now the plan is that we're going to establish that base on the surface of the moon.
Who makes that call?
Yeah, the administrator, so Jared Isaacman and his team. So yeah.
Does the mission do the missions change with changing administrations in the White House?
Yeah, so the Artemis program was established by President Trump in his first presidency, in his first term, and so it was established then, and I think, from my perspective, probably lost a little bit of steam under Biden's administration, and then
that's no surprise.
Yeah,
sorry,
and then a little bit of a slow start to the very beginning of Trump's second term, but as soon as Jared Isaacman got in, things have just cranked up. He is moving fast. Like, we almost can't keep up. He's moving so fast.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. I'm running out of time. I don't want to keep you too long. I truly believe, as I think you do, as you just said, that this is the beginning of deep space travel. What do you see? Where will we be? And I know this is a ridiculous question, but I'm asking anyway. Where are we in 50 years, in your opinion?
50's hard to look out that far.
Yeah.
I mean, Mars. I think Mars is 10 to 15 years out. So to think out 50. I think at that point we've got a presence on the moon, a presence on Mars, and we've got some folks going into deep space. Unfortunately, travel out that far just takes so much longer. Just to put it in perspective, this Artemis 2 mission was a 10-day mission, but just to go to Mars, a Mars mission would be 6 months one direction.
Just to get there, yeah.
Just to get there. So when you start thinking about, trying to get out of our solar system, I mean, you're years and years just to get out of our solar system.
Yeah.
And that's traveling. Artemis 2 was up to 25,000 miles an hour.
Which is just mind-boggling to think about. It really is.
It is.
It truly is. Well,
it's exciting.
It is.
So
I'm thrilled by it. And I think that's one of the reasons Jennifer suggested we call you, because I've been all over this, man. I am absolutely it's the only reason I want to live a long life, just to be able to see this all play out, and to see us on Mars one day. It's mind-boggling to me.
It's so fun to watch with the kids. So I've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
I send them to space camp, and
nice.
I had my daughter on my shoulders at the launch, and I was in a video from the administrator Jared Isaacman with and then he posted another one last night with my daughter and me in it. But that first video was about inspiring the next generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I hope the kids, and I think we will. I think Halloween we're going to see a bunch of kids dressed up as astronauts, and I'm all for it. It's exciting.
That is exciting. Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is you've been a great guest. The bad news is you've just become our go-to guy when it comes to the Artemis program. So I'm going to be bugging you, I think, for a little bit. But I appreciate you taking the time and coming on the program, because you've got one of the coolest jobs on the planet, man. I cannot imagine what it would be like to be associated with this program.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's a dream come true.
I bet. Awesome. All right, thanks again so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Steve Henson. You either found that extremely boring or absolutely exhilarating. For me, I found it absolutely thrilling. That you're miles away and you can feel the launch. God. I didn't know we were 10, 15 years away from Mars, though. That was interesting to find out. I thought we were maybe 5, 7, maybe 10. But he's saying 10, 15. And And the possibilities are so vast, he couldn't even speculate where we'd be in 50 years. Because you just never know. God, I don't know. I find it fascinating. Quick timeout. We'll check the board, get to the bottom of the hour, talk about Jackie Robinson on this pre-Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th, 1947. The year Mr. Robinson won the very first Rookie of the Year award. And yet he wasn't an all-star that year. I've never understood that. And the Dodgers sucked in 46, and he took them to won the pennant, got him to the World Series. He was a 6-time all-star starting in 1949, which is weird. But we'll talk more about him at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 at AM 1230, streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio.
Big Mike.
AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vit Dev. We will chat with local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser. John Cox will be here to administer the news quiz. We have news, we have traffic, we have weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
If you've got one that's got a birthday coming up, don't just get a cake or take them to their favorite restaurant. Get a caterer. And if you're going to get a caterer, there's only one in town that I suggest, and that's Mike Arrier and Big Mike's Rage and Barbecue. As I've talked about, Mike is a Garces kid who made it all the way to the National Football League playing for the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants and Bill Parcells. And the discipline and hard work needed to get to the NFL, Mike has transferred into his catering business, where he is a stickler for quality of meats, quality of vegetables. His food is A1. He is a terrific cook, and he does everything along with his crew and his rig. They do the cooking, they do the cleaning, they do the serving. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call Big Mike at 393-5507. That's 393-5507. Doesn't matter what your event is. It could be a wedding, it could be a celebration, it could be an anniversary. Doesn't matter. Call him today, 393-5507. Mike Arrier and Big Mike's Rage and Barbecue.
Look, folks, when it comes to IT support, not all companies are the same. Many make big promises, but very few have the depth of talent, advanced systems, and proven solutions that Grapevine MSP brings to the table. At Grapevine MSP, they don't just fix problems, they prevent them. Their fully managed IT services keep your systems running smoothly and securely 24/7. So when something happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be stuck trying to reach your provider. Grapevine MSP's local team is already on it with advanced network monitoring. They generally catch the issue before you even notice, and they're calling you to say that it's already been handled. Their dedicated cybersecurity team protects you daily from evolving threats, while their industry-leading backup and disaster recovery keep your business online even in a crisis. All this for one simple, transparent monthly rate. Call 661-377-2992 or visit grapevinemsp.com to schedule your free network evaluation today. Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. If you're eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. You know, for years, I've been telling you QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544 and let us help you understand your options for 2026. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. The Electric Light Orchestra, better known as ELO. Wasn't a big fan. I was a decent song, but I wasn't a big. Because in the 70s, if you couldn't dance to it, it was worthless. You can't dance to this. How do you, it's too slow. And it's not like a slow dance. Do you know my first slow dance, Chris? 6th grade, the Buckley School. I grabbed her hand. Cindy Florence, we danced like this. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was in 6th grade. Time out. Last half hour. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM
That's a true
1230.
story.
KERN.
Cindy Florence.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military claims that it has successfully begun enforcing a blockade of Iranian ports, escalating tensions with Iran. The Islamic Republic has threatened regional strikes.
I couldn't do it.
Recent talks between the U.S. and Iran ended without an agreement, but President Trump suggested a second round could take place in the next 2 days. The timeline is tightening as some states attempt to redraw U.S. House districts ahead of the November midterm elections. Maryland's Democratic effort to reshape districts ended with the legislative session this week.
I remember
Meanwhile, Florida lawmakers are starting a special session Monday for a Republican redistricting attempt, and Virginia voters are deciding Tuesday on a Democratic plan that could help the party gain
Hey, what's going on over there?
on Wall Street, the Dow up by 317 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. What caused the fire, or who caused the fire at the warehouse on Washington Street Saturday, is what Bakersfield Police and Kern County fire investigators are working to find out. It was the third fire at that warehouse in 2 years, and this time, just like the last, it was bales of plastic burning on the inside. The name of the person killed in a wreck on Highway 14 near Highway 58 Monday evening has not yet been made public. The Highway Patrol says it was a two-car wreck with one car T-boning the other. 3 people were arrested and 26 tons of trash cleaned up and cleared away in a sweep north of the Kern River in Oildale at Chester Avenue and Manor Streets last week, says Bakersfield PD. That sweep was in response to complaints about the encampment. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Last week, there was a Paul Sheldon sighting, kind of rare and very exciting. Everyone asking, where has he been? Of course, his clients weren't worried about their Medicare, even when Paul in person wasn't there, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. The grandkids like to play, where's Waldo? Granddad's asking, hey, where'd Paul go? Just games that are fun to win. But when push comes to shove and the day is done, we know it's covered, so it's all in fun. Because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Over the years, so many have said it, the guy's a genius. Gotta give the man credit. He put it together way back then. Brought along those 3 Medicare pros, who of course by now everyone knows are Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vit Dev. We will chat with local guitar masters, impresario Rick Kreiser. John Cox will be here to administer the news quiz. We have news, we have traffic, we have weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN. Bye, yeah.
When you walk and talk, will it sets me off? Yes, it does. The way you squeeze and tease knocks me to my knees. And I'm smoking, baby. The way you swerve and curve really rocks my nerves. I get excited, child. The way you push, makes me know that you're gonna get your wish. Oh, Lord, fire. Got a little Soul Train in this mug. Almost cursed right there. 842-537-6842 KERN. Who you got?
JD.
JD, what's poppin'?
Well, I'm sorry that my prediction came through today, but I told you there was going to be a woman come forward.
What you talking about, Willis?
The Falwell.
Oh, yeah, he going to jail. He going to jail. I haven't even played all the audio. I got one more piece of audio to play. Do we have Allie? Yeah. Oh, he's going to jail. Well, he's going to jail. This Lana Drews is a very, very credible witness who has put her name on it and owned it and said, he raped me, flat out.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying to my buddies. I said, you know, he was a prosecutor. He would like to have her as a prosecution witness.
No kidding.
And that's not good for him. But I think he'll do everything he can to stay out of jail because you know he's a little light in the ass to go to prison. He's gonna say I won't run for office. You can just fire me. You can whatever. But I think he'll do whatever he can to stay out of jail.
This might be offensive, but he's an entitled rich white man. He's not going to jail. Going to jail? That's not even a possibility. He ain't going to jail. He should, but he ain't going to jail. You're absolutely right. They'll work out a deal. They'll work out a plea deal where he'll plead to a lesser charge and he'll get massive community service. I don't know. With these situations, it can go either way. They can either go the Zach Scrivener route or it can go, let's make an example out of him route.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's either one of the two.
Yeah, you called it there. They might make an example of him, but I think he'll give up the sword and not go to prison.
Yeah.
And if I were him, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah, I think he's going to skate. The only reason I think they might make an example out of him is because there are 5 different accusers. So he's got a case in New York and a case in Los Angeles. He's got the staffer who claims that he took advantage of her in a New York hotel room. That's the New York case. The LA case is this Lana Drews, this Beverly Hills model, who claims that he raped her. The New York case is a little skeptical because the girl claims that she was raped, and then she reached out to him 2 or 3 years later to have a drink. And that's problematic. But this Beverly Hills girl is absolutely credible.
Yeah, and now she also said what I said yesterday, that she felt that she had been drugged. And all those stories sound the same. And I guess there's some video of him on some yacht with a bunch of, kind of fratty guys, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And that might be your, because it's hard to make a case that you drugged me when there's no evidence of it.
Right.
But if they can get somebody to turn or roll and say, I've been supplying them with it, which the FBI want to do, they throw that pressure on you. And, they say, you're going to go to jail if you lie to us. That tends to make people talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And, Cash Patel might have a little grievance against Swalwell with all of his Epstein testimony and kind of coming at him. So sometimes payback is something.
Yeah, it is. It's a B. And the other thing that makes Drew so incredibly credible is that she wrote about it in her diary, told her mother and 2 different friends when it occurred. So
a therapist.
And a therapist. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. That's right. So she's remarkably credible. He might not be able to skirt jail time. He really might not be able to.
He could allow that therapist to testify. She'd have to allow it. But boy, oh boy, if she did, look out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you're also talking about Boston baseball, the first black player.
Who was?
Pumpsy Green.
Pumpsy Green.
Pumpsy Green from Richmond.
Really?
He's a Northern California kid. He was a coach at Berkeley High School after he played for like 20, 25 years.
Really? What year was this? Had to be late 60s, if not the 70s.
No, 1959.
No.
Yeah. Look it up. I don't even have to look it up. I know it.
The Red Sox had a black player in 1959?
59 or 60, without question.
And what was the next black player? Because that had to be late 60s. Because the Yorkie family, you know the Yorkie family, they were a bunch of bigots. You're willing to admit that, right?
Yeah, I always get on my Boston buddies and say, you know, to rectify the racism of the Boston Red Sox, they should rename the Green Monster to the Pumpsy Green Monster. And that doesn't go over well with them, but
I bet.
I still love doing it.
That's funny. All right, Pop. Always good to hear from you, JD.
All right, have a good time down Dodger Stadium.
Thank you, man. I will. Thank you.
All
right, take
Bye.
care. It's our man, JD. Love that cat. Meantime, getting back to what he's talking. Oh, we got another phone call. Who you got?
Sorry, Chris Orr's on the line now.
Chris, what's really going on?
Mr. Ralph Bay, how are you?
I'm well, sir. What's popping?
I am headed to a historic occurrence in Kern County. I'm on my way to San Tobias Field to watch the first ever CIF women's lacrosse game played in Kern County.
Why don't you give me a heads up on these things?
I didn't know. Well, I don't head the women's program at Garza, so I didn't know until a couple of days ago. So, but I'll give you a heads up. The last men's game in town is going to be Saturday, May 2nd.
May 2nd.
So 10 o'clock in the morning. May 2nd.
I will be
your last shot.
I will be there. May 2nd. I will be there. Okay. What time does it start?
Boys are playing in 10 o'clock. So
I'll bring my clubs and
the women
take off to BCC from there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go. It's close by. But yeah, the women's who generally always have to go up to Fresno, they actually got a game scheduled here. So it's the first ever CIF lacrosse game in Kern County tonight.
And who are they playing?
So it's a Fresno team. I don't know exactly which school it is.
That's outstanding.
But I'll find out. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's Andrew Zaninovich, one of the Zaninoviches, and Chris Hagan from Shane Cone Styles. They've been, the ones that really got that going. So
good.
Kudos to them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And Garces High School, obviously. In Garces High School. So, but so that's going on. Our boys are actually headed. We're playing a game in the Palisades this coming weekend. So
really,
which is going to be interesting. Yeah, the school got put back together. They got the field done. So our guys are going to play a lacrosse game overlooking the Pacific Ocean, which will be kind of cool.
That is cool. That's a neat school. It really is. I've been down. It's right down the street from Brentwood, and that's a neat school. Yep. It really is. You'll be passing by my alma mater when you go down there.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, it's on the left-hand side as you're coming down Sunset Boulevard. As you pass Layton Boulevard and you go down Sunset, there's a dip. You'll see a big green wall of ivy. That was the football field. It's no longer the football field, but that's Brentwood High School right there.
Oh, okay.
Or the Brentwood School, actually. Anyway, all right. Well, I'll be out there May 2nd. I promise you.
Okay.
All right, Pop.
All right. Have a good one, Larry.
You too, Larry. I can't wait to see this lacrosse team. I really can. How long has it been? Like 2 years? I've been trying to get out there to see these guys.
At least
2 years. Yeah. When we come back, I want to do this now because I want to end with Jackie. This is Allie Samarco. She is another one of the witnesses who've come forward and put her name on it in terms of Eric Swalwell. She sat down with the CBS Morning News. Here she is, Allie Samarco.
It started out as professional and platonic, and then slowly they became more and more explicit, asking me what I was wearing. Then one night he was on a trip and he was laying in his hotel room bed, and then he sent me a photo of his penis.
He going to jail. Let me take back what I said to JD. They're going to make an example out of him. Because JD's right, and I think I was partly right. Normally, an entitled, rich Congress member can make a deal and do, 500 hours of community service and go to a woman's shelter or do something like that. But no, I don't think so. I think the fact that drugs are involved and these women are saying that they blacked out, that this guy did the Cosby on them, I don't think they're going to lend a blind eye to this. I think it's too visible a case. I think we're in a different era in America where, we're in the midst of this Epstein thing and guys getting away with this nonsense. No, I want to take back what I said. I think they're going to throw the book at him. I think they're going to try to make an example out of him just because of the era that we're in and the public outcry over Epstein. I don't think you can softball this kind of thing in this era right now. Which again, and I hate to have to get back to this, but that's what makes the Scrivener case so outstanding. And I don't mean that in a quality way. I mean outstanding apart from other cases because it occurred in a period where we're finally getting serious about sexual molestation and dealing with child molestation and dealing with teachers having sex with children and things of that nature. And that's why in the 32 years that I've lived in this community, I have never seen the unanimity over one issue as there is for the Zach Scrivener issue, where basically everybody in this community outside of the Scrivener family thinks that not only is he guilty of sin of molesting his daughter, but that he got a pass. In fact, I would be willing to say wrongly, about half this community thinks that somehow the DA's office, the local DA's office, Cynthia Zimmer, played some role in him getting a pass. And as critical as I have been of Cynthia Zimmer, I have been pretty damn consistent about the fact that she had absolutely nothing to do with Scrivener getting a pass. Unless she has some secret relationship with Rob Bonta that we don't know about, but being a Republican and Bonta being a Democrat, I find that hard to believe. Is there an air of entitlement amongst all these people, regardless if they have an R or a D? Yes. I think Bonta did this on purpose. I don't think there's any question in my mind, I don't know about y'all, but that Bonta just didn't want to go after this thing. They knew what they were charging him with, and I'm repeating myself, but I think they're going to make an example out of Eric Swalwell. And I think just the fact that 2 congressmen on the same day resign over sex, that's why I said at the top of the show, we're going to be talking about sex today. And just the remarkable nature of men throughout history. Literally, and I don't mean to get religious or to throw the Bible in your face, but literally since the beginning of mankind. And ladies, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming men. We're stupid. And there's a phrase I could use about big head and little head, but I'm not going to go there. But you know what I'm saying. But it literally goes back to the beginning of mankind. Go ahead. Just take a little bite. You know what I'm saying? Just take a little bite. He won't mind. Listen to this, me and the snake. Just take a little bite, Adam. Come on. Just a little bite. And Papa Janko, look what we got now. I mean, just think about the men. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, you go through the 20th century of powerful men, and you have a very short list of presidents or powerful men who were not involved outside their marriage, whether it's Franklin Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower. Dwight Eisenhower took his aide, A-I-D-E, his aide de camp, as they call it in the military, to Europe with him during the war. And then brought her back and gave her a gig in the White House. Dude was like my age, and he still, I don't know if he was having an affair with her, but he had her around. Roosevelt, I've told you the Roosevelt story. You know what's tragic about Roosevelt and his mistress? His daughter was the liaison between Roosevelt and his mistress, because Roosevelt was in a wheelchair. So he couldn't meet her. So he needed somebody to get the mistress to Roosevelt, and it was his daughter. And the tragedy is, so Roosevelt dies in Warm Springs, Georgia. And just by dumb luck, the mistress is there. Eleanor is somewhere. I believe Eleanor is in D.C. So now Eleanor has to fly down to Warm Springs, Georgia to deal with her husband. Yeah, she was in D.C. because there's that famous tete-a-tete between her and Harry Truman, where she walks into the Oval Office and Harry Truman says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." And Eleanor Roosevelt says to Harry Truman, "No, I feel sorry for you, Harry. You're the leader of the free world in the middle of a world war." And so she was in D.C. and she flies down to Warm Springs, Georgia, and she finds out that the daughter has known about the affair the whole time and has been the middleman in getting the mistress to Roosevelt. Can you imagine how devastating that must be? She accepted the fact that Roosevelt had a mistress, but to find out that your daughter is enabling it, the woman that came out of you, that you produced, is helping your husband conduct an affair? Let's keep going. So you got Eisenhower, Roosevelt, Kennedy, Johnson. Nobody wanted to make love to Nixon. Patricia Nixon didn't want to have sex with Nixon. Same thing with James Earl Carter. And then Reagan. We went through a little through the 70s and the 80s. We had some fairly moral men, Nixon, Carter, Reagan. But George Herbert Walker Bush, as quiet as it's kept, had a lover. As quiet as it's kept. I don't think GW, the son, I don't think ever cheated on Laura. But of course, we know about Slick Willie, Dr. King. In fact, one of the few, you want to know who one of the few moral leaders of the 20th century was? Malcolm X. That's right, Malcolm X. The reason he left the Nation of Islam is because he found out that Elijah Muhammad was doing the Dr. King, was sleeping with all the parishioners. And he walked away. Couldn't do it. This is moral hypocrisy. Isn't that crazy? One of the most controversial and revolutionary men of the 60s was probably the only truly moral man of that era. Because Dr. King was having a ball. Have we taken the 45 yet? We got to take a break. I'm sorry. I thought it's a good thing I noticed that. I was about to go all the way to the top. I thought we'd already taken a break.
I was about to start the music on you right now.
Okay, good. Final break of the night. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Kathy Abernathy will be sitting in. So be kind to Kathy. And, of course, look for me and Mike Parrott and Scotty G and Ron behind home plate tomorrow night. It's an ESPN game. 17 takes the bump. That's why I believe it's on the Entertainment Sports Programming Network. But I'll be wearing my blue Dodger hoodie and my black Dodger vest atop of that. And no, I don't wave. I do not wave. I do not wave. I did the first time I was dating Monica and I waved at her kids. But you got to act like you've been there before. You know what I'm saying? You see those people? No, it's not. No. I'll never forget, I did that at the Coliseum once with Ed Skelly. And he looked up to me. I standing up crazy, waving at the camera. And Skelly looked up at me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm on TV." And he goes, "If you just sat down and acted like you were somebody, they probably think you were OJ's kid or something." I was like, "I don't care." Acting all stupid like one of those people behind the Today Show set. And he was right. He was absolutely right. If I had just sat there all cool, they'd put the camera on me. But instead, I went like an idiot. Final break of the night. Keep it locked. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180. AM 1230. And streaming live at was going to give some other call letters, so I can't do that. At KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
The Bakersfield.
Whenever you're ready.
The what? Oh, yeah. 3, you ready? 3, 2. Forget about being kicked out of Congress. Forget about resigning. Forget about giving up your gubernatorial race. Eric Swalwell's going to jail. This girl, there are 2 cases. The one out of New York is a little shaky because after the alleged rape, the girl contacted him for a cocktail. But this girl in LA, the Beverly Hills girl, she is a very credible witness. Eric Swalwell's going to jail. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. As you probably know by now, I'll be in Los Angeles for Jackie Robinson Day at My Blue Heaven. But Kathy Abernathy will be filling in. Be kind to Kathy, and I will rap to you on Thursday right here on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, where we stream live at KernRadio.com. I'll see you Thursday. And don't forget about the Stockyard next door for meetings, banquets, or just having dinner and having some of the craft cocktails that are served next door. It's Casey's Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Trucordia, a new name but a trusted partner for Kern County businesses. At Trucordia, we provide business solutions that include comprehensive commercial insurance and proactive risk strategies to help protect your company and keep operations running smoothly. We also offer benefit solutions with flexible options for both businesses and individuals, supported by easy online tools and hands-on mobile service that makes everything simpler. For guidance you can count on, call Don Coons at 661-401-2280. Trucordia, building trust.
Play Travis and Buck Sexton live at 9 a.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
As her attorney. That's Glenn Owen's daughter. Try it. You're going to jail, dude. In my world, only you. Spending too for love, what I would not do. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. 'Cause I'm in the face of your love, you see. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Me? In a good mood? Nah. My blue heaven. Can't wait. Can't wait. Anything on the board before I walk to Lawson's for the 3rd time in a row?
Yes, got a couple.
What do you got?
Best guest ever. Thanks, Ralph.
Wasn't he? Steve Henson. Thank you, Jennifer Van Alstyne, her classmate. I agree. I thought, good. I'm glad to hear that. I thought that was absolutely fascinating. I really did. You should make sure that's in a best of this weekend.
Oh, I already planned on it.
Sweet. What else you got?
Let's see. With our national debt, any space travel money is absurd. Also, if any U.S. pilot were aware they were striking a school, they should be prosecuted like Lieutenant Kali for melee
in Vietnam. That is about as dumb a thing as I've ever heard. That Georgia boy intentionally killed women and children. There's called collateral damage in war. That's what that was. There's a difference between collateral damage and intentionally shooting children and women. And for you to make the comparison between what the United States military did in Epic Fury and what that criminal did in the 1960s is about as dumb a thing as I have heard. You're absolutely ridiculous. But they're two Americas. You see it that way, and we see it differently. I got to get out of here. Be kind to Kathy. For Chris, I'm Ralph. I'll rap to you Thursday.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield. An American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Despite promised tax relief, polling shows most Americans still think they're overpaying. Lisa Dwyer reports.
Tax refunds are up this season, but according to a Fox News poll, about 7 in 10 registered voters still say their taxes are too high. That's up from about 6 in 10 last year. Even with the expectation that many households will see more income from the Republicans' tax legislation, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that legislation will ultimately largely benefit the richest Americans. Polling shows that many Americans may not be feeling those benefits, with their tax refunds being eaten up by higher prices as the U.S. experiences a spike in inflation. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The announced resignation of 2 members of Congress this week could affect the balance of power in the House of Representatives.
California Democrat Eric Swalwell said he will leave Congress after facing sexual misconduct allegations.